Chapter 1158. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Chang Xian and the rest moved immediately. All of them were as agile as monkeys. Without a sound, they instantly entered the soul stone mine, wanting to finish off the unconscious aborigines on the ground. At this moment, the red mist dissipated quickly, revealing its original appearance. That's strange. Where are those aborigines? Where did they go? However, when Chang Xian and the rest charged in, they discovered a strange phenomenon. There were no unconscious figures on the ground. It was as if it was a ghost town. They instinctively felt that something was wrong. The scene in front of them was beyond their expectations. They shouldn't be able to move after being hit by the red mist. Where are those aborigines? Could they have been killed by Senior Brother Chen Wei? No. Even if they were killed, their corpses should have been left behind. It's indeed strange. We clearly saw many aborigines guards just now, but now they've all disappeared. Everyone discussed and looked around cautiously. They felt that the situation was different from what they had imagined. All of them were on high alert. At this moment, there was an air-piercing sound in the surroundings, as well as orderly footsteps. In the next second, figures appeared in the surroundings, instantly surrounding Chang Xian and the rest. The people surrounding them were the aborigines they had seen just now. How is this possible? Why are these aborigines unharmed? Chang Xian and the rest were shocked. They simply could not believe their eyes. This was truly unbelievable. Under the red mist, even Golden Elixir Realm cultivators would be unconscious. With the strength of these aborigines, they would not be able to escape the effects of the poisonous mist no matter what. The problem was what was going on. Not only were these aborigines not dead, but they had also taken the opportunity to surround them completely. They had fallen into an ambush from all sides. Foolish demons. You've been tricked. At this moment, a bald, middle-aged man who was 9 meters tall walked out. He looked at Chang Xian and the rest with a proud expression. His eyes were filled with ferocity. What? Lu Rulan was shocked because she immediately recognized the bald, middle-aged man's true identity. Even if he turned into ashes, she would still recognize him. He was Huining City's sole palace master, Zhua Hao. She didn't expect to meet Zhua Hao again so soon, and under such circumstances. Brother Chun, I didn't think that you would really be a man of your word. You really brought these outer realm fiends over to their deaths. I am very satisfied with this deal. The bald, middle-aged man snickered. Brother Zhua Hao, it's good that you're satisfied. Integrity is a basic character of a businessman. Isn't our cooperation built on integrity? At this moment, a young man walked out and smiled. Chen Wei, what's going on? Why aren't they dead yet? Chang Xian and the others saw that Zhua Hao, who had just entered the Soulstone vein, was standing beside these aborigines. It seemed like the relationship between the two sides was very good, and there was no sense of enmity between the aborigines and the universe's martial artists. They simply couldn't believe their eyes. They felt that this was too absurd. Since when did the natives of the Blood Soul continent become so friendly to the warriors of the universe? It was simply unimaginable. Do you even need to ask? Xia Ping said faintly. Chen Wei obviously betrayed us and colluded with these aborigines. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He felt that he had underestimated Chen Wei. From the beginning, Chen Wei's target was probably them, and he had already colluded with these aborigines. Betrayed us? Chen Wei, have you lost your mind? Do you know who you are? You actually collaborated with the aborigines? If this matter is exposed, there will be no place for you in the universe. Why did you do this? What benefits did those aborigines give you? Chang Xian and the others shouted angrily. They weren't fools. Based on the situation in front of them, it was obvious that Chen Wei had betrayed them and colluded with these aborigines. Benefits? Do you think that I would do such a thing without enough benefits? Chen Wei smiled faintly. There's no harm in telling you this. The Gui Yuan sect has already discussed with our friends from the Soul Race. If we use your lives in exchange, 2/3 of the soul stones in this soul stone vein will belong to us. Tell me, how can I not agree to such benefits? He had already discussed the conditions with Zhua Hao and the others. Lu Rulan immediately understood why Zhua Hao wanted to do this. To the Soul Palace, the lives of the extraterrestrial demons were more important than the Soul Stones. If anyone could kill an extraterrestrial demon, they would receive great rewards and even an extremely high status. It was even possible for them to be promoted to the Soul Palace's elder. Compared to the Soul Palace's status and rewards, the Soul Stones in a small Soul Stone vein were nothing. Of course, they were willing to cooperate with Chun Wei and the others. Zhua Hao and the others wanted the lives of Chang Xian and the other extraterrestrial demons, while Chun Wei and the others needed the Soul Stones. Everyone agreed on this matter and took what they needed. Chun Wei, have you gone mad? These aboriginals are all despicable bastards. Once they kill us, they will turn around and kill you all as well. At that time, all of your efforts will be in vain. You won't have a good ending either. Chang Xian and the others shouted furiously as they glared at Chun Wei. Don't worry about that. Chun Wei was calm and composed. I've already signed a mental contract with them. If anyone dares to violate the contract, their soul will be shattered on the spot, and they will die without a complete corpse. With a mental contract, no one dares to violate it. He had already made preparations. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to cooperate with the Soul Race. The Soul Race naturally did the same. Mental contract. Lu Rulan's expression was solemn. Even in the Blood Soul mainland, a mental contract was an extremely precious rune scroll. It was a mysterious rune passed down from ancient times. Once the content of the contract was signed, both parties' souls would be bound together. If anyone violated the contract, their soul would immediately be destroyed. No one could save them. In order to annihilate these extraterrestrial demons, Zhua Hao had clearly put in a lot of effort. Damn it, Chun Wei has already sold his soul to the devil. He's no longer on our side. Don't think that you're so great just because you're working together with the Aborigines. We still have over 100 people. You won't have a good ending. Go, kill Chun Wei and the Aborigines. Chang Xian and the others were extremely angry. Although they had been ambushed by the Soul Race, they still had their strength. If they fought to the death, it was still unknown who would win. All of them wanted to rush forward and kill Chun Wei. You still want to kill me? It's too late. Looking at the time, the drug should be taking effect by now. Chapter 1159. The effect of the poison took effect. Before Chang Xian and the others could figure out what was going on, they suddenly felt a wave of weakness in their bodies. The magic power in the depths of their purple palace was rapidly disappearing. It was as if their strength had been sucked dry on the spot. Oh no, the magic power in my body is disappearing. Oh my God, what is happening? I can feel my strength disappearing bit by bit. Damn you, Chun Wei, what did you do to us? Chang Xian and the others were horrified. They felt an unprecedented weakness in their bodies. One by one, they fell to the ground. With a few clangs, the weapons in their hands fell to the ground. They had difficulty breathing and were drenched in sweat. They were like a pile of mud, unable to exert any strength at all. Originally, they had the strength of fulfillment realm or even transcendent realm. They could shatter mountains with a wave of their hands. If they were in ancient China, they would be like gods on earth. But now, they felt their strength disappearing rapidly. It was as if they had turned into mortals. They were even weaker than when they were still infants. Dozens or even hundreds of years of hard work had been destroyed. Every one of them was terrified and filled with despair. Don't worry. You guys were just poisoned, causing your cultivation to disappear temporarily. This isn't permanent. It will only last for 24 hours. After that, you will slowly recover. Chun Wei said with a smile. 24 hours. Chang Xian and the others felt even more despair. Even if they were only weakened for a few minutes, they would still be dead. They would be hacked to death by Chun Wei and the natives. Not to mention, they would be weakened for 24 hours. This was simply asking for their lives. They were filled with despair. They knew that they had fallen into Chun Wei's trap. There was no chance for them to survive. Brother Chun, this poison is really powerful. It can actually weaken these powerful extraterritorial devils to this extent. They can't fight back at all and are at our mercy. Zhua Hao stared at Chun Wei with a cold glint in his eyes. If this poison is used on us, the Soul Race, will have the same effect? He was very wary of Chun Wei's method. After all, if Chun Wei were to use this method on them, they would most likely end up in the same predicament as well. Don't worry, this kind of poison is still very rare. I also paid a huge price to find it, so I won't use it easily. Moreover, we have signed a spiritual contract that we will never harm each other, so why would I use this kind of method to deal with you? After all, we're friends, aren't we? Chun Wei said sincerely. Friend my ass. Zhua Hao sneered in his heart. He would not believe a single word that Chun Wei said. If Chun Wei could kill his own people, how could he believe that Chun Wei would not do the same to them? However, with the spiritual contract in hand, he believed that no matter how vicious this fellow was, he would not dare to lay a hand on him. Chun Wei didn't say much. He instructed Fan Ming and the other Gui Yuan sect disciples. All right, let's cut the crap. Kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive. He was vicious and merciless. He wanted to kill Chang Xian and the others immediately, to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. He did not even have a second to waste. Damn Chun Wei, you will die a horrible death. I trusted you so much in vain. I didn't expect you to be such a despicable person. If you kill me, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. The group of people shouted in grief and indignation. They felt that they were crazy to trust Chun Wei and the others. They regretted their gullibility. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Regretting? It's too late. The most important thing to remember when you're out in the world is not to trust strangers so easily. Didn't your fathers teach you this when you were young? Chun Wei said with a smile. A bunch of idiots. I don't know why you're so stupid. That's right. If we could easily kill these natives and obtain the soul stone, why would we ask you to share it with us? Go to hell and regret believing in us so foolishly. Idiots will not be able to survive in the universe. Now, we will teach you these principles. A group of Guiyuan sect disciples smiled ferociously. With weapons in their hands, they attacked. They were like bandits killing helpless villagers. No, no, no. Spare me. Spare me. As long as you spare my life, we are willing to be your slave. You can't kill me. You can't kill me. My father is the manager of Five Elements sect. I can give you money. I can give you money. I can give you as much money as you want. Spare my life. Everyone was wailing and begging for mercy. However, the people of the Gui Yuan sect did not show mercy and killed them mercilessly. Compared to these benefits, if this matter was leaked out, it would be a disaster. It was impossible for them to let these disciples leave alive. Only dead people could keep secrets. Bang, bang, bang. These Gui Yuan sect disciples were extremely ruthless. Heads flew in the air and blood flowed. Dozens of people were killed on the spot and turned into corpses on the ground. It's over. It's over. It's completely over this time. Chang Xian and the other Ling Yun sect disciples were desperate. They wanted to take the opportunity to obtain the Soul Stone to complete the mission, but they fell into this situation. They were extremely weak now. Even if they wanted to escape, they did not have any strength. Are we going to die this time? Lu Rilon also fell on the ground weakly. Because she had eaten a lot of food yesterday, she was poisoned. She did not expect that after running for so long, she still could not escape from Huaning City Soul Palace Master Zhua Hao's evil claws. Master Wu Taidu. Suddenly, there was a loud shout. Fan Ming did not care about anyone and walked in front of Xia Ping. He looked at him with a ferocious face and a murderous aura. He simply hated this person who dared to talk back to him yesterday and almost made him lose face. He wished for nothing more than to kill him, skin him, and pull out his tendons. It was already considered that he had a good temper to be able to endure for a night. Now that the situation was set, no one would stop him. So how could he not come for revenge? You were arrogant yesterday. Have you ever thought of this ending today? Arrogant. Continue to be arrogant. You even dared to kill my Gui Yuan sect disciples in front of me. You're so arrogant. You must be tired of living. Fan Ming sneered and emitted a powerful aura. It was like a mountain pressing down, as if he wanted to press Xia Ping to the ground and make him kneel in front of him, kowtow, and admit his mistake. The surrounding people were shocked. The aura of a transcendent realm cultivator was terrifying. Normal cultivators could not even get close to him. It was as if the ground had been pressed down by a few centimeters. A group of Gui Yuan sect disciples looked at Xia Ping as if they were looking at a dead man. After offending Fan Ming, it was impossible for him to live. Chapter 1160. So, what if I'm arrogant? Do you dare to bite me? Hearing this, Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and looked at Fan Ming calmly. There was no hint of fear in his eyes. F***CK, this kid is too arrogant. He's obviously poisoned and has no strength left. He's a prisoner. If he begs for mercy, he might be spared. How dare he provoke us? Does he think his life is too long? This kid is probably completely crazy. He knows that he's going to die, so he's venting before he dies. Venting? He angered Senior Fan Ming. Even if he wants to die, it won't be easy. Many of the Gui Yuan sect disciples looked at Xia Ping with pity in their eyes. They knew how cruel Fan Ming was. If he offended Fan Ming, death might be a better outcome. Brother Wu, Chang Xian, and the others were extremely anxious. They could clearly feel Fan Ming's murderous intent. However, they couldn't even protect themselves now. Even if they wanted to help, there was nothing they could do. Good, very good. Fan Ming was so angry that he laughed. I like tough bones like you the most. It's especially fun to torture you like this. To be honest, it'll be hard for you to die later. As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately attacked. A giant hand, made of mana, reached out like the palm of a giant. It wanted to grab Xia Ping and crush him into a cripple. Fan Ming used all his strength, even when he was facing a poisoned person. One could imagine how angry Fan Ming was now. He even wanted to kill Xia Ping dozens of times. Die. A cold light flashed in Xia Ping's eyes. He immediately activated the infinite blades on his body. Immediately, a sharp long sword appeared in his right hand. Shoot him, infinite blades. As soon as he finished speaking, the long sword instantly elongated. Its speed was extremely fast. Like a poisonous snake, it shot towards Fan Ming's body, emitting a cold light in midair. What? Fan Ming was shocked. He didn't expect this kid to be able to resist at this time. Logically speaking, this kid without mana should be weaker than a baby. However, this long sword contained a terrifying sword aura. It made him feel uneasy. It was as if he was being stared at by a peerless swordsman who had triggered a sword aura that could tear the sky. Dong! In midair, the huge hand, made of magic power, collided with the sword. However, the long sword instantly pierced through the huge hand made of magic power. The tyrannical sword energy instantly tore the magic power into countless pieces. This long sword was unstoppable. It did not slow down in the slightest and continued to shoot toward Fan Ming's body. It had already surpassed 20 to 30 times the speed of sound. This kind of speed was so fast that the surrounding cultivators couldn't even see it clearly. They only saw a dazzling cold light in the air, emitting a murderous aura that was bone-chilling. Not good. Fan Ming's hair stood on end, and he could feel all the cells in his body boiling. A dangerous aura spread throughout his body, as if the Grim Reaper had descended upon him. He could clearly feel that this long sword was different from other treasured swords. It contained a trace of the aura of a saint, as if there was a Taoist rhyme within it. It was unfathomable. Just a strand of this aura was enough to tear everything apart. Ordinary magic treasures would not be able to withstand such a sharp edge. Meteor Fist. Fan Ming roared, and all the magic in his body started to circulate. He immediately used one of his martial arts mystiques and punched out. Countless gray air currents in the air rapidly gathered together, turning into a huge gray meteor. This gray meteor looked simple and unadorned. It was surrounded by air currents and kept spinning like a star. Under Fan Ming's control, it smashed towards Xia Ping. This was a martial arts mystique that he had cultivated. It was very powerful. When he punched out, it was like a meteor smashing the ground. It had the power to destroy cities, and ordinary cultivators would not be able to withstand a single punch from him. With such a martial arts mystique, even a light blow was enough to blast a huge hole in the ground. Moreover, Fan Ming felt that he was in mortal danger, and so he used his full strength. Dong! In an instant, the meteor and the long sword collided in midair. Immediately, there was a loud sound of collision. The force of the collision shook, as though it had shaken thousands of times in a second, producing an extremely strong destructive force. The force of the collision caused a huge hole in the ground. Soil flew everywhere, and the ground cracked. The impact extended for 2 to 3 kilometers, and rocks were shattered into pieces. The surrounding cultivators were sent flying, coughing up blood in midair. Their organs were all severely injured. Some of the poisoned cultivators were unable to resist at all. They were shaken into a pile of minced meat on the spot, dying without a complete corpse. Impossible! Fan Ming had thought that his mystique punch would be able to send the long sword flying even if it was unable to shatter it. However, the moment his fist came into contact with the long sword, he realized that he was wrong. Very wrong. This was because the sharpness of the long sword was completely beyond his imagination. It had an invincible might, and a mere meteor would not be able to withstand the sharpness of the long sword. Kacha, kacha! In the blink of an eye, the long sword pierced through the meteor, shattering it from the middle. The surrounding mana was pierced through as though it had turned into nothingness at that moment. In the next second, the long sword pierced through Fan Ming's chest, causing blood to splatter everywhere. Even though he was wearing an superior grade armor, it was more fragile than tofu in the face of the endless blades. Arg! Fan Ming let out a shrill cry, feeling waves of intense pain coming from the depths of his chest. It then rapidly spread to every nerve in his body. He was practically insane, sinking into the abyss of despair. That was because the sword had not only pierced through his chest, but even his heart had been destroyed on the spot. Blood spurted out of his body like a fountain, splattering all over the ground. I am dead. Fan Ming's eyes were wide open, unable to believe what was happening before his eyes. He was a mystique realm cultivator, had mastered a martial arts mystique, and was extremely powerful in combat. The other party was just a fulfillment realm cultivator, and he was even poisoned. But now, with just a single move, it had pierced through his heart and taken his life. How could he dare to believe such an absurd thing? However, even if he did not believe it, Fan Ming felt the strength in his body rapidly disappear. He felt as though his eyes were turning dark, and he was slowly falling into the deepest depths of the abyss of hell. Whoosh! With a thought from Xia Ping, the long sword immediately retracted and left Fan Ming's body. With a few splurts, the wound on Fan Ming's body expanded and blood spurted out. Chapter 1161. When Fan Ming fell to the ground and was killed in an instant, everyone was shocked. Is this a joke? Senior brother Fan Ming is dead. Impossible. Something like this can't happen. Senior brother Fan Ming is a divine realm cultivator. How could a mere fulfillment realm wandering cultivator kill him? That's right. It must be an illusion. The kid was poisoned and has no mana. How could he have the strength to kill senior brother Fan Ming? That's right, but senior brother Fan Ming is really lying on the ground. His heart has been pierced. If this isn't death, then what is? And I don't feel like I'm hallucinating. No, this isn't an illusion. Senior brother Fan Ming was killed by this kid. Many of the Gui Yuan sect disciples were shocked. Looking at Xia Ping, who stood there silently, they could not help but feel a bone-piercing chill. It was as if they were looking at the god of death. This kid was clearly just a fulfillment realm cultivator, and he was also poisoned, but he was still able to kill Fan Ming in this situation. It was truly inconceivable. The way they looked at Xia Ping suddenly became incomparably frightened. They felt that this kid was a monster who had hidden himself well. He's too strong. He killed Fan Ming in an instant. No wonder he wasn't afraid when he killed Feng Zhe of Gui Yuan sect last night. If he had the strength to kill a divine realm cultivator, then this wouldn't be surprising. However, to be able to kill a divine realm cultivator above his level, this kind of combat power is rare even in a sacred sect. How could a mere wandering cultivator be so strong? The number of wandering cultivators is too large. Although most of them are weak, there are a few monstrous geniuses. I have to say, there are too many hidden dragons and crouching tigers in this world. As expected of Big Brother Wu, I knew his strength was unfathomable. Chang Xian and the others were also shocked. Although they had seen Xia Ping's strength last night, it was only the tip of the iceberg. No matter how imaginative they were, they did not think that Xia Ping would have the strength to kill a divine realm cultivator like Fan Ming in an instant. It was too shocking. No, that's not right. You still have mana in your body. Are you not poisoned? But I saw you eat all the food. Chun Wei's face darkened. He did not feel any pain over Fan Ming's death, but he was very dissatisfied with Xia Ping, the unexpected pawn. He felt that his perfect plan had been disrupted by this unexpected factor. If his perfect plan was overturned by this brat, then the joke would be too big. He would never allow such an accident to happen. Who knows? Why don't you go to hell and ask the king of hell what happened? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and gave a suggestion to Chun Wei. Arrogant. Chun Wei harumphed coldly. You think you can live just because you killed Fan Ming? He's simply overestimating himself. Junior brothers, let's attack together and slaughter this madman. A terrifying, murderous aura emanated from his body. Although he didn't know why this kid wasn't poisoned, they still had the absolute advantage in the current situation. So what if he wasn't poisoned? Even with their combined strength, it was enough to kill this brat dozens of times. Whoosh! In an instant, 3 or 4 Gui Yuan sect disciples immediately rushed out from the side. All of them were cultivators at the peak of the fulfillment realm. Their figures were like ghosts, silently approaching Xia Ping. Go to hell, Master Mateto! This group of people shouted. With a clang, they all took out a long sword from their bodies and stabbed at Xia Ping. Immediately, dozens of terrifying sword chi blasted out, like a poisonous snake, extremely fast and vicious. They all happened to be in the blind spots of Xia Ping's sight, and there was no way to avoid. Oh no! Chang Xian and others all felt a chill in their hearts. With so many experts attacking Xia Ping at the same time, it was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. As long as a sharp sword stabbed Xia Ping, he would be eliminated on the spot. This battle could not tolerate any mistakes. Dark North Body Protection Art. Xia Ping sneered and operated the mana in his body. A huge energy shield rose up, and a vague Kuan Peng appeared behind him, wandering in the void. This energy shield was flowing like water, constantly rotating, as if the yin and yang were in a spiral state, like a whirlpool containing many mysterious runes. Bang, bang, bang. In the blink of an eye, these sword chi all bombarded on Xia Ping's body, immediately bursting out a banging sound. What? These Gui Yuan sect disciples were all shocked because they found that when their sword chi bombarded on this kid, it was instantly swallowed by this energy shield, like being involved in a whirlpool, unable to hurt this kid at all. They even felt that their bodies were controlled by the tyrannical devouring power. Even if they wanted to leave this place, it was extremely difficult, as if the breath on their body was completely locked. All of you go to hell. Xia Ping's body was filled with murderous intent, as if at this moment, dozens of miles turned into a bloody domain, full of bone-piercing, killing intent. Help, Senior Brother Chun. These Gui Yuan sect disciples were scared half to death, and their faces were ashen. They seemed to feel the moment of death, knowing that they could not escape the attack range of this terrible rogue cultivator. They couldn't help but cry for help. Trash rogue cultivator, stop immediately. The 2 or 3 Gui Yuan sect disciples next to him saw this. They could no longer sit still. If this kid continued like this, a few more Gui Yuan sect disciples would definitely die. With such a thing happening, they couldn't just sit back and do nothing. Immediately, they attacked, splitting into several directions to attack Xia Ping, wanting to besiege the weak to save the weak. I said, no one can save the person I want to kill. Yang God Fist. Xia Ping took a step forward and used the Holy Class unique skill, Yang God Fist. In an instant, this fist was like the sun rising from the east. Endless heat gathered in the fist, and a terrifying flame exploded at this moment, producing a terrifying explosive force. Oh no! The 3 or 4 Gui Yuan sect disciples' faces turned green. Such a flame contained a terrifying destructive aura. Although it was not close, they could feel the power to incinerate everything and this was definitely something they could not defend against. Rumble! In the next second, the power of this fist exploded, and flames swept across the sky, instantly surrounding the Gue Yuan sect disciples, like a flaming demon swallowing all of them. Aha! They immediately let out shrill cries, as if they were in a fiery hell. Every cell in their body was burning, and they were in unbearable pain. Moreover, this was not an instant death, but under the burning of the fire crow, they died bit by bit, as if they could see the process of their own death. It was an extremely painful torture. Chapter 1162. Damn it! The expressions of the three Divine Realm Gue Yuan sect disciples changed. They could feel the terror of this punch. Even though they were Divine Realm cultivators, they couldn't block it and had to avoid it. The power of the fire contained in it was too terrifying. It specialized in burning magic power. Once they touched it, they wouldn't be able to block it even if they cultivated a good defensive technique. Even if it couldn't kill them, it could make them lose half their lives. What kind of fire is this? Why is its power so terrifying? Everyone was shocked. They could feel the terror of Xiaoping's punch. It was as if the fire was an extreme flame that erupted from the depths of a star. It was filled with destruction, burning, and other characteristics. If it came into contact with it, it would not rest until the object was burned to ashes. In the universe, many people called this type of fire unusual fire. This guy's an abnormal wandering cultivator. He has an unusual fire. No wonder he dares to enter the Blood Soul continent and act so arrogantly. Shenwei's expression was very ugly. He felt that he had underestimated this wandering cultivator. Just this strength was enough for him to sweep through Fulfillment Realm cultivators. If he wasn't careful, even Divine Realm cultivators would be heavily injured. After all, the power of an unusual fire was not to be underestimated. What a terrifying extraterrestrial demon. Zhua Hao and the other Soul Race members were also shocked. It was their first time encountering such a terrifying extraterrestrial demon. It was like a demon god that controlled fire and emitted power that could destroy the world. Am I going to break through? Xiaoping's heart moved. He realized that a barrier deep within his purple mansion space had suddenly shattered. There was a crackling sound like glass shattering. He immediately knew that he was about to reach Fulfillment Realm Middle Stage. Previously, he had devoured a large number of soul stones, causing his consciousness and magic power to be greatly strengthened. He had long been at the peak of Fulfillment Realm Early Stage. He was just one step away, or just one opportunity, and he would be able to reach Fulfillment Realm Middle Stage. Now, this opportunity had finally come. Under the attack of the Gue Yuan sect disciples, his body was stimulated. The enormous potential in his body was stimulated, and a large amount of magic power surged out. Coincidentally, this magic power was like a step that helped him break through to Fulfillment Realm Middle Stage. Once he reached Fulfillment Realm Middle Stage, his consciousness power, magic power, and body quality would all be greatly strengthened. It would be incomparable to before. It wouldn't be difficult for him to even go up against an early-stage divine tier cultivator. Since that's the case, let's make a breakthrough. Xiaoping also didn't continue to control the surging magic power in the depths of his purple mansion. With a dong sound, his brain region trembled, and a barrier was broken. Immediately, a large amount of magic power flooded into the purple mansion. In the depths of the purple palace, the raging sea formed by the condensation of magic power formed a huge whirlpool. It spun continuously in the middle and quickly drilled into the depths of the purple palace. As the water continued to swirl, it went deeper and deeper, opening up the Violet Kingdom space. Immediately, the entire Violet Kingdom space expanded, and the area of the sea also expanded. Fulfillment Realm Middle Stage. Xiaoping immediately felt enlightened. He knew that he had finally stepped into the middle stage of the Fulfillment Realm. At this moment, the space of his purple mansion was twice as large as it was before. A huge amount of magic power surged in the depths of his purple mansion. It was like a raging storm. A terrifying aura erupted from his body. With his body as the center, The area within a radius of 100 kilometers was enveloped by this magic power, setting off a boundless storm. What's going on? What's going on? The surrounding people were shocked. They felt the terrifying aura erupting from Xiaoping's body. It condensed into a solid wall of air, crazily pushing in all directions. The people around him couldn't withstand it and all retreated 2 or 3 kilometers. Some of the weaker cultivators were directly blown away by this aura, coughing up blood in midair. Are you kidding me? This kid broke through and is about to advance to the middle stage of the fulfillment realm? Someone immediately felt that the kid's aura was completely different from before. It was much stronger. Obviously, he was about to break through and step into a new realm. Oh my God, is this kid crazy? He can actually break through like this? Many of the Gui Yuan sect disciples couldn't believe their eyes. This was clearly a battle of life and death, but this kid actually used this opportunity to break through. They had never seen something like this before. His consciousness has also become stronger. Xiaoping didn't care about the surrounding people's shock. He was immersed in his emotions of advancing to the middle stage of the fulfillment realm. The power of his consciousness was also much stronger than before. He only moved his thoughts slightly, and the area within a radius of a few hundred kilometers was covered by his consciousness. Nothing could hide from the power of his consciousness. He even condensed the power of his consciousness and produced a strange power in the air. The small rocks on the ground were all trembling, as though they could float under his control. The strength of his consciousness was already enough to affect the material world. With a crack, Xiaoping used the power of his consciousness and slammed it against a rock. The rock actually shattered, and a huge crack instantly appeared. The golden crow of hell cells are also awakening. It wasn't as simple as his consciousness evolving. Xiaoping also felt that a total of 1,000 golden crow of hell cells in the depths of his body were awakening again. Immediately, a huge amount of golden crow of hell energy surged out. The blood in the depths of his body flowed like magma, showing a pale golden color like the blood of a god. It emitted an ancient, sacred, noble, chaotic, and other aura. At this moment, his bones, muscles, meridians, skin, hair, and other parts were all strengthened. They crackled, and even his bones showed a pale golden color. Vaguely, the surrounding air seemed to boil, as though a sun was rising. Deep in the sun, there seemed to be a divine bird living, raising its head to the sky and roaring, resonating with the heaven and earth. The whole earth was shaking. What is this? The surrounding people were trembling. Feeling this ancient aura, they were so scared that they almost peed their pants. They wanted to immediately crawl on the ground, as though they had encountered an unrivaled god. Daring to attack such a god was blasphemy and would be punished by the heavens. This was an opponent that mortals couldn't match. If they dared to attack, they would die. No, I can't let him continue to break through. I must stop him and make him go mad. Chen Wei's expression changed. He felt that this Master Potato was becoming more and more of a threat. It seemed that after advancing to the middle stage of the fulfillment realm, he already had a terrifying power that could rival the divine power realm cultivators. He felt that this absolutely couldn't continue. He must strangle this threat in the cradle. Leave it to me. I will kill him. Chapter 1163. If there was anyone present who wanted to kill Xiaoping more than Chen Wei, it would undoubtedly be Zhuo Hao. As a native of the Blood Soul mainland, he hated extraterrestrial fiends to the core and wanted to kill them all without mercy. Furthermore, this extraterrestrial fiend had even captured his exclusive property, Lu Rulon, and did all sorts of indescribable things to her. That was enough to make him explode in anger. It was as if he had been cheated on. Zhuo Hao hated Xiaoping to the core and wanted to kill him as soon as possible. Therefore, he would not allow this kid to continue growing stronger and become a huge threat to him. Let's attack together and kill this kid. Zhuo Hao commanded his subordinates and 2 or 3 of his early phase soul race friends. He had no intention of fighting alone, as it was a fight to the death. Using the fastest and cruelest method to kill the opponent was the correct way to go. Yes, many people from the soul race nodded. They could also feel the lethal threat from this kid, so they did not hesitate to follow Zhuao's orders. Soul Race secret technique, Mount Tai overhead. In an instant, their mental powers fused together. Strands of mental powers fused and converged, producing an extremely terrifying mental power. Immediately, a mountain formed by the power of the soul appeared. Like a mirage, it emitted an extremely strong sense of oppression, enough to affect the space around it. What is this? The surrounding people were shocked. They could feel the terrifying mental pressure from these people from the soul race. It was as if they had encountered an ancient beast. It was as if the opponent could crush them into pieces with just a slight movement. Oh no, this is the Mount Tai overhead. These people want to kill. Lu Rulan's expression changed. As a former saintess of the Soul Hall's branch palace, she naturally knew how terrifying the Mount Tai overhead was. It used soul power to form a mountain of nothingness. It was extremely heavy and crushed down like Mount Tai, violently attacking the enemy's soul. If the enemy could block this move, they would live. If not, they would die. However, most enemies cannot block it. This was a sure kill move. Back then, when the Blood Soul mainland was invaded by extraterrestrial fiends, it was this move that instantly killed countless extraterrestrial fiends. Because this move could fuse the soul energy of countless soul race experts. The more people there were, the greater the explosive power. How could a single person's soul force resist the soul force of dozens or even hundreds of people? Therefore, most of the Outer Realm fiends would be instantly killed, their souls destroyed. Although there weren't several hundred of them, there were 3 to 4 Divine Ability Realm cultivators and 20 to 30 Fulfillment Realm cultivators. Their combined strength was extremely terrifying. Once touched, he would die without a doubt. The soul race is truly terrifying. A look of fear appeared on Chunwei's face. The reason why he had chosen to cooperate with the soul race and sign a spiritual contract instead of killing all of them and obtaining all the soul stones was because of the soul race. It was because he was wary of this move from the soul race. Once the other party was forced into a desperate situation, even a final counterattack before death could kill them all. The secret soul technique was truly terrifying. This was also the reason why the death rate in the Blood Soul continent was so high. It would be fine if the Soul Tribe didn't discover them, but once they did, they would basically die. But this way, this kid is dead for sure. Chunwei looked at Xia Ping pitifully, thinking that this kid was extremely unlucky. He had just broken through and didn't even have the time to celebrate before he was killed on the spot. However, this was also the fate of a rogue cultivator. He offended Chunwei and even dared to kill a disciple of the Gui Yuan sect. If he still didn't die after this, there would be no justice in the world. Go to hell, Zhuahao shouted angrily, his body filled with a terrifying murderous intent. Rumble, immediately, a huge mountain came crashing down on Xiaoping's soul. It was as if Mount Tai was crashing down on him. The air exploded inch by inch, as if it was going to crush the ground. The soul force of dozens of people gathered together, especially the soul force of a few Divine Ability Realm cultivators, was unbelievably strong. Ordinary people would be crushed just by touching it. Before it reached Xiaoping, there were dozens of universe warriors on the ground who couldn't withstand it and were instantly crushed. Blood flowed out of their orifices and their souls were destroyed. They died just like that. What a strong soul force attack. Xiaoping's eyes flashed coldly. He could feel that this soul force attack was extraordinary. It was pure strength. When fighting with the enemy, whoever was stronger would win. However, no matter how strong this power was, it was still far from the soul imprint on the Qiankuan wall. In an instant, he activated the Tree of World in the depths of his soul. Whoosh! A towering tree appeared. It seemed to have taken root in the void, giving birth to countless branches. It was as if it was a natural treasure that had existed since ancient times. The moment it appeared, the world seemed to be in a state of stillness. It emitted a faint green light, as if everything within a radius of tens of miles was in a green domain. Boom! At this moment, a huge mountain came crashing down from the void, smashing onto the Tree of World. However, in an instant, the mountain collapsed, shattering inch by inch into countless pieces. No matter how strong the mountain was, it wasn't even worth mentioning in front of the Tree of World. It couldn't even crush a single branch. When it smashed down, the branch pierced through the entire mountain. Moreover, Xiaoping stood where he was, unharmed. How is this possible? Zhua Hao and the others were dumbfounded. Dozens of them had joined forces to use the Mount Tai crushing technique in order to destroy this kid with lightning speed and get rid of this threat. However, from the looks of it, the Mount Tai crushing technique didn't seem to have any effect on this kid. Instead, their own Mount Tai had collapsed, and nothing had happened to Yi Futian. This was too ridiculous. Could it be that Yi Futian's soul force was stronger than dozens of them combined? Otherwise, how could such an unimaginable thing happen? Kill! Before Zhua Hao and the others could figure out what had happened, Xiaoping was unforgiving. He activated the power of the Tree of World. Whoosh! Immediately, the Tree of World trembled, and countless branches extended rapidly. Like god-slaying spears, they stabbed towards Zhua Hao and the other soul cultivators. This was a stab of nothingness. This was a stab aimed at the soul. Bang, bang, bang. Without any obstruction, these branches instantly pierced through the souls of the soul cultivators, turning their souls upside down. It was as if they had been torn into pieces in an instant. Chapter 1164. One by one, the soul natives could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. They had failed to kill Xiaoping and instead suffered a backlash. Their souls were severely injured, and they bled from their orifices. Bang, bang, bang. Soon, they all fell to the ground one by one. Large amounts of blood flowed out of their bodies. 2 of their eyeballs had exploded on the spot, and their bodies twitched continuously. Not long after, the soul natives stopped twitching. They were clearly no longer alive. They're all dead. Lu Rulon's beautiful eyes widened as she looked at the group of soul soldiers. She could clearly sense that they no longer had any signs of life. All that was left of their bodies were empty shells. This was the terrifying part of a battle of mind power. Success was naturally great as they could kill the enemy instantly. However, failure would result in a backlash that would affect their bodies and result in instant death. There was no such thing as captivity in a war on the Blood Soul mainland. A battle of mind power between both sides was filled with the risk of death. Once they failed, they had no other choice but to die. Even if they survived, they would become idiots. This was the cruel part of a battle on the Blood Soul mainland. In a battle among the soul race, there was only victory and death. Oh no, run quickly. However, Zhua Hao was not dead yet. Although he was also heavily injured, the problem was that his cultivation was stronger. Moreover, he had sensed that something was wrong at the crucial moment and quickly retracted his divine consciousness. As a result, he suffered a relatively minor backlash and was only heavily injured physically. However, the others were in a terrible state. All of their souls had been pierced by the world tree and completely shattered. Even a deity would not be able to save their lives. Immediately, he felt a sincere fear towards Xiaoping. They were no match for such a monster. If they stayed here, they would definitely be killed by this extraterrestrial demon. Whoosh! Without another word, Zhua Hao quickly fled as if he wished his parents had given him more legs. He fled into the distance, hoping to get away from this demon and escape with his life. Don't even think of running. Xiaoping would not let Zhua Hao escape. Once he did, he would definitely inform the Soul Hall. When that happened, he would definitely be hunted down by countless people on the Blood Soul mainland. The consequences would be endless. Therefore, Zhua Hao would definitely die. He did not even look and pointed at the void. With a whoosh, a condensed force shot out. It was extremely fast and tore through the air like a laser. With a bang, the force pierced through Zhua Hao's back. Even his heart was crushed on the spot. Zhua Hao's body immediately stopped moving. His eyes were wide open, filled with fear, unwillingness, and regret. If he hadn't cooperated with Chen Wei, perhaps he wouldn't have met such a fate. He wouldn't have met such a death god. But no matter what, it was too late. With a putong sound, his body went rigid, losing all signs of life, falling to the ground just like that. Large amounts of blood flowed out from his body, covering the surrounding muddy earth. "Mom, Dad, I've finally avenged you." Lu Rulan was overcome with emotion when she saw Zhua Hao die on the spot. The enemy who had killed her entire family had finally died in front of her. Although she was not the one who had killed the traitor, it did not matter. In short, the death of this enemy was the best thing. She had finally gotten her revenge. Damn it, where did this monster come from? Even the Spirita's Mount Tai suppression art couldn't do anything to him. Instead, it was instantly killed by him. Many Spirita's warriors were killed by the backlash of their mental strength. Just how powerful is his divine sense? It's not necessarily the power of divine sense. Maybe he has some kind of powerful secret treasure that can resist mental strength attacks. That's why he is unharmed. Damn it, even the Spirita's warriors are no match for him. Does he want to overturn the heavens? Many Gue Yuan sect disciples' faces were extremely ugly. Originally, this battle was within their grasp. They should have been able to kill this group of people, complete the spiritual contract with the Spiritas, and obtain a large number of soul stones. The original plan was very smooth at the beginning. Most of the people were poisoned and did not have the strength to fight with them. They were like sheep waiting to be slaughtered. However, they did not expect that a rogue cultivator, Wu Tidu, would suddenly appear and completely destroy their plan. Even senior brother Fan Ming and the others died tragically in his hands. Now, the group of Spirita's soldiers were all killed. Not a single one was left. Although they didn't care about the death of the Soul Ray soldiers, the power displayed by Master Matedo made their hearts palpitate, and they felt as if there was a blade on their backs. Wu Taidu, Chunwei stared at Xia Ping and said, "I admit that I underestimated you before. I am very sorry about this. If you are willing, I can share this soul stone mine equally with you. Anyway, now that this group of Spiritas is dead, no one can stop us." He wanted to bury the hatchet with Xia Ping. If he could resolve the conflict, it would be for the best. Many Gue Yuan sect disciples clenched their fists. They were very unwilling. Now, they actually wanted to talk peace with this rogue cultivator who killed so many Gue Yuan sect disciples. It was simply a joke. Since when did the Gue Yuan sect bow to this extent? Facing this murderer, they could only talk peace. They could not kill this devil on the spot and take revenge. Their hearts were filled with anger and unwillingness. Equally? Xiaoping suddenly smiled, but it was a mocking smile. He looked at Chen Wei and said, "Chen Wei, when you wanted to kill me just now, why didn't you think of equally? If he did not have a little strength, he would have been killed by Chen Wei. He would have died without a burial place. This was a deadly feud. Now that this kid saw that he had the power to kill everyone present, he wanted to talk peace and bury the hatchet. If killing people and doing evil things could be settled by just apologizing and drinking 3 glasses of wine as punishment, then what was the point of having the police and the law? Since he refused a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, then go to hell." Chen Wei snorted coldly. Hearing these words, he knew that it was impossible to talk peace. They had a fight to see who was stronger. With a clang, a cold light exploded. Immediately, a 3-feet-long black sword appeared in his hand. This was a low-grade spiritual weapon, Shadow Devouring Demon Sword. "Kid, I'll let you know how terrible it is to offend Gue Yuan sect and me. You will regret in the depths of hell why you met me." Chen Wei. Chen Wei sneered again and again. He infused his magic power into the Shadow-Devouring Demon Sword. Walala, the Shadow-Devouring Demon Sword immediately trembled. A black fog emanated from its body and spread out rapidly. In just a few breaths' time, the black fog covered a radius of more than 10 kilometers. This black fog contained an extremely strong, corrosive aura. It was extremely destructive to magic power and could even blind the 5 senses. It was definitely a demonic sword. Chapter 1165. Xiaoping's eyes flashed. He sensed that the entire world had darkened. A radius of dozens of kilometers was shrouded in black mist. Not a single ray of sunlight could seep in. It was as if he was in a world of darkness. In a world of darkness like this, one's vision had already been taken away. It was equivalent to losing a portion of one's power and being at a relative disadvantage. He even sensed that in this world of darkness, even the power of consciousness was greatly hindered. It was as if some powerful force was repelling consciousness. Of course, for someone with an enormous consciousness like him, this bit of hindrance was nothing. But for cultivators of the same level, or even those in the transcendent realm, it was a nightmarish scene. Kill, die, Master Potato. At this moment, a terrifying, murderous intent came from the darkness. The ones who attacked were the remaining 3 transcendent realm cultivators and 5 fulfillment realm cultivators. They took this opportunity to attack. One was a transcendent realm cultivator who mastered the martial arts mystic art, flowing water fist. His mana surged like the boundless sea, manipulating the water energy of the world to form mountains and rivers. In the air, streams of water condensed into substance like water dragons and strangled towards Xiaoping. Once hit, his entire body would be shattered. One was a cultivator who mastered the martial arts mystic art, Demon Eagle Claw. This was a claw technique that imitated the ancient demon eagle. When it was unleashed, it was as if an ancient ferocious bird had come back to life, emitting endless baleful aura and killing intent. In an instant, a black eagle claw reached over, tearing through the air. Endless air currents gathered in this sharp claw. He wanted to crush Xiaoping's entire body. The last one was a cultivator who mastered the blade Dao mystic art, Greenwood blade art. He gripped his blade tightly and slashed horizontally. Endless wood energy gathered in the blade. With a thud, he stabbed the blade into the ground, and a terrifying wood mana poured into the earth. Immediately, the wood mana that symbolized endless vitality covered an area. On the ground, green vines grew out like poisonous snakes. They broke out of the ground and instantly wrapped around Xiaoping. If he was caught by these vines, he would die without a doubt. The other 5 fulfillment realm cultivators followed behind him. They worked together and formed a unique formation. Their breathing merged together as if they were one, and their aura was no weaker than that of a divine ability realm cultivator. This group of people seemed to be used to fighting in the dark. In a world of darkness like this, they were like fish in water. They clearly knew where Xiaoping was. Not bad. Xiaoping could feel the pressure coming towards him. If it was before, he might have had a hard time dealing with this pressure, and he might have been surrounded by danger. But after advancing to the middle stage of the fulfillment realm, his magic power was twice as strong as before, and his divine sense was also twice as strong. He had even awakened 1,000 golden crow hell cells and tempered his body. It could be said that his current strength was not inferior to a cultivator in the early phase of divine realm. Even if this group of people came in a menacing manner, they were still not enough to give him a lethal pressure. Black Vortex Ripple Fist. Just as these people were about to attack, Xiaoping took a step forward and suddenly punched out. The magic power in the depths of his Zifu surged out like a surging wave and instilled into his fist. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the world's yuan qi in the surroundings vibrated. With Xiaoping's fist as the center, it turned into a huge black vortex of magic power, covering the surrounding area and producing a terrifying suction force. It seemed that at this moment, the surrounding air had turned into black water. Any sunlight that entered this vortex was completely devoured like a black hole. What? These Gui Yuan sect disciples were shocked. They could not believe their eyes because they found that all their attacks landed on the black vortex, but they did not have any effect and were completely devoured. Whether it was water, eagle claws, or vines, they disappeared as soon as they entered the black vortex. It was as if they had entered the mouth of a giant beast and were instantly digested. Kill! A cold light flashed in Xiaoping's eyes, and he punched again. This was an extreme punch, containing the profound of a saint-level fist technique, filled with the power of a spiral. In the void, dozens of fist marks immediately appeared, condensing into a solid form. It was like a punch that had existed since ancient times, shaking the void and exploding the air with the power to tear a mountain apart. Immediately, these Gue Yuan sect disciples could not block it and were immediately hit by this punch. The terrifying spiral force seeped into their bodies. Even if they had protective skills, it was useless, and they were instantly torn apart by the fist force. First, the bodies of the 5 fulfillment realm cultivators exploded on the spot like watermelons, exploding in midair. They were killed by a single punch, just like that. The remaining 3 mystic realm cultivators were strong and had strong bodies. Although they were in a better situation, the strong fist force still seeped into their lungs and destroyed them crazily. It was as if they were being minced by a meat grinder, and they were heavily injured on the spot. Oh no, this guy's a monster. F***CK his ancestors. Who said that this guy is a loose cultivator? He's a monster. Retreat, retreat, retreat immediately. We can't fight him head-on. The 3 Gue Yuan sect mystic realm cultivators were so scared that they peed their pants. They had joined forces and were actually killed by this guy. 5 of their juniors were killed on the spot, and the 3 of them were heavily injured. If there was another punch, they would not be able to survive. Before this, they were still mocking Master Mateto for being a loose cultivator who came to suck up to them to complete the task. Now, it seemed that he did not need to suck up to them. It was already good enough that they did not suck up to him. They reckoned that even among the Saint-class sects, there was no such terrifying monster. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 3 mystic realm cultivators were so scared that their faces were ashen. They did not dare to stay where they were. They rolled and crawled, using all their skills to leave this dangerous place. Die. Xiaoping dashed forward and used the rock steps. A pair of infernal golden crow wings grew on his back. One side was red and the other was black. The feathers were condensed from flames and seemed to contain countless mysterious runes. With a whoosh, his speed was extremely fast. Countless figures appeared in midair. In an instant, he arrived in front of the 3 Gue Yuan sect mystic realm disciples and threw a punch. Not good. The expressions of the 3 mystic realm cultivators changed. They tried to block, but it was too late. The punch landed on their bodies. It was like the attack of an ancient elephant, enough to penetrate the earth. With a dong, their bodies were immediately penetrated by the fist force. A huge bloody hole appeared on their chests. Boom. Chapter 1166. Whoosh. Just as Xiaoping landed on the ground, a dazzling cold light flashed in the darkness, like a strand of sword energy piercing through the sky, striking towards his back. It could be said that this sword was simply wonderful, taking advantage of the moment when Xiaoping's old strength was exhausted and new strength had yet to be generated. It came to kill, wanting to pierce through Xiaoping's body. The one who attacked was obviously Chun Wei. He had been hiding in the dark for a long time. Even when he saw his junior brother killed by Xiaoping with one punch, and many of his junior brothers dying on the spot, he was indifferent, not even the slightest bit moved. Until this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity appeared, he suddenly appeared again, wanting to kill Xiaoping with one sword. Die, Master Mateto! Chun Wei shouted. His face was extremely ferocious. He held the low-grade spirit weapon, shadow-devouring demon sword, in his hand, displaying a sure-kill sword. He himself was at the early stage of divinity realm. Coupled with the power of a low-grade spirit weapon, this sword was extremely frightening. The sword energy condensed into a substance like a poisonous snake. It had the power to destroy everything. Dong! Xiaoping stood in the same place. The sword also firmly stabbed into Xiaoping's body. The powerful and sharp sword energy burst out, but at this moment, a layer of black energy appeared on Xiaoping's body. Low-grade spirit weapon, black horn armor. In this dangerous moment, Xiaoping also activated the low-grade spiritual weapon black horn armor on his body. Layers of black energy shields appeared, and many tortoiseshell patterns appeared, condensing into a solid form. It had an extremely powerful defensive ability, as if a blackhorn ferocious beast had descended, and it had the defensive ability to block most attacks. Rumble. At this moment, the shadow-devouring demon sword and the blackhorn armor collided. This was the collision of low-grade spirit weapons against low-grade spirit weapons. It was a contest between a spear and a shield. It immediately burst out an earth-shattering sound. Two energies collided. It ignited dazzling sparks. The aftermath of this energy immediately shook the ground. Penetrating hundreds of meters, the earth split open, unexpectedly forming a huge abyss. Impossible, you also have a low-grade spirit weapon, and it is a defensive type? Chun Wei was shocked. He originally thought that his sword was flawless. He could kill Master Mateto. Who would have thought that this kid also had a lower-grade spiritual weapon on him? Moreover, it was a defensive lower-grade spiritual weapon. One must know that in the universe, a spirit artifact was considered a high-grade artifact. It was not something that could be easily bought. Even Chun Wei had to pay a huge price to obtain it. However, this kid actually also had a low-grade spiritual weapon on him. This was really too unfair. Why did this rogue cultivator have so many trump cards on him? Moreover, he seemed to be richer than him. He was so jealous that his intestines turned green. You're the only one allowed to have a magic treasure, but I don't. Do you think you can kill me just because you found this opportunity? What a joke. Your every move is within my observation range. Even if you raise your tail, I would know if you want to shit or pee. Xiaoping said in disdain. Give up, you can't kill me. No, I don't believe that I can't kill you. I, Chun Wei, am a dignified divine realm cultivator. How can I not kill a mere fulfillment realm wandering cultivator like you? That's impossible. Chun Wei roared, unwilling to give up. This matter was related to his pride. He thought of himself as a genius disciple of the Gui Yuan sect and a divine realm cultivator. If he couldn't even kill a mere fulfillment realm wandering cultivator, then he would have no face to speak of. If he, Chun Wei, retreated here, thinking that he was no match for this rogue cultivator, then when he ascended to a higher realm in the future, it would definitely become a demon in his heart. This would become a huge obstacle on his path to becoming a sage. No matter what, Chun Wei would not allow such a thing to happen. He had to kill this arrogant rogue cultivator. Only then would he be able to think clearly. Whoosh, at this moment, he poured all of his mana into the shadow-devouring demon sword. Immediately, the sword was activated with a majestic black demonic chi, flashing with black sword light. Many formation runes appeared on its surface. Countless black demonic chi emanated from the void, seemingly condensing into blood-colored skulls. At this moment, the temperature of the area within a radius of several dozen miles seemed to have dropped. Waves of bone-chilling cold spread out. The ground seemed to be swept by this cold current, quickly freezing over. This was not ordinary cold chi, but demonic chi. It had a terrifying aura that could corrode ordinary life. Break for me. Hurry up and break for me. Chun Wei gripped the shadow-devouring demon sword in his hand and roared madly. He desperately wanted to use this sword to pierce through the defense of the Blackhorn armor. His entire body was trembling, and he bit his lips so hard that they almost bled. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, the 3-foot-long sword pierced the black energy shield, exploding with dazzling sparks. It sounded like steel rubbing against the ground, clanging. Under Chun Wei's control, the sword pierced through the black energy shield bit by bit. Break my ass. So noisy. Without waiting for Chun Wei to continue, Xiaoping immediately attacked. He would not foolishly watch Chun Wei pierce through his Blackhorn armor. He immediately slapped at Chun Wei. Oh no! Chun Wei's expression changed. He wanted to dodge Xiaoping's attack, but he found that his shadow-devouring demon sword had long been trapped in the energy shield of the Blackhorn armor. At this moment, he could not move at all. Dong! A palm came from the void. It was like the attack of a ferocious beast. It contained an extremely fierce palm power. It slapped Chun Wei's body, and the air exploded. Ah! Chun Wei let out a shrill scream. He could not hold the shadow-devouring demon sword in his hand. His body flew out like a ball, sliding in the air. The terrifying palm power penetrated his internal organs. More than a dozen of his ribs were broken. Every nerve in his body was hurting. It was more painful than having tens of thousands of ants biting his body. What shocked Chun Wei the most was that the palm power contained a terrifying flame power. It was a strange flame. It seeped into his body and quickly burned away his Dharma power. This also caused his Dharma power to be in disorder. Bang! Chunwei hit the ground hard like a dead dog. The ground shook, and more than a dozen cracks appeared. As he fell to the ground, the shadow-devouring demon sword lost its power. The surrounding black fog quickly dissipated, and the clear world was restored. The sun shone brightly. However, most of the disciples from the various sects had died in the battle just now. They were either killed by the disciples of the Gui Yuan sect or killed by the attack of the Soul Clan warriors. Only Chang Xian and a few others did not die in the aftermath of the battle because of Xia Ping's intentional protection. Even so, Chang Xian and the others fainted and fell to the ground, unconscious. Chapter 1167. As expected of the disciple chosen by me, Corinne. Corinne stroked his white beard and was very satisfied with the situation. At this moment, the enemies were basically all dead, and there was no lack of powerful divinity realm cultivators among them. According to Xia Ping's current strength of fulfillment realm, there were not many people in the universe who could create such a battle record. God knows how many people will be scared to death if it was spread out. Corinne was very emotional. Chunwei and the group of Gui Yuan sect disciples did not know what kind of terrifying devil they had offended. They brought this upon themselves. Moreover, once this group of people died, the entire Soul Stone mine would belong to them, and they would gain a lot of benefits. All right, let's end this. At this moment, Xia Ping stepped forward and wanted to end Chunwei's life with a palm. After all, he was a Gui Yuan sect disciple. If he let him escape, who knew what kind of trouble he would cause, so he had to eliminate him. Whoosh. But at this moment, Chunwei, who was like a corpse and could not move, suddenly moved like the last radiance of setting sun. He felt the murderous aura from Xia Ping. He straightened his body like a carp, and his figure flickered like a ghost. In an instant, he moved to Lu Rulan's side and stared at Xia Ping fiercely. Master Mateto, don't move. If you dare to take a step forward, this woman's life will be gone. At this moment, Chunwei grabbed Lu Rulan as a hostage. His face was incomparably ferocious. Although he was seriously injured, he still had some strength left. It was easy for him to kill an unconscious person. As a Gui Yuan sect disciple, you actually used such a despicable method to capture a hostage. Don't you feel ashamed? Even if you die, you should at least die with some dignity. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. Bullsh asterisk T. Die my ass. Chunwei scolded. Damn you. What bullsh asterisk T dignity? What's the use of dignity when you're dead? In short, if you dare to act rashly, I'll smash your head with a palm. I think you don't want to see such a beautiful woman die tragically in my hands. Don't you think it's a very fair thing to exchange your life for mine? In order to survive, he would use any means. Even if he was looked down upon as despicable and shameless, he would not care. In essence, he believed that everyone but himself was disposable. Chunwei, I think you've misunderstood something. Do you think you can threaten me with her life? Do you really think I care about her? Xia Ping remained expressionless as he looked at Chunwei calmly. Do you think I would let you go just to save her life? You overestimate the value of this woman. His tone was awe-inspiring, revealing a dense, killing intent that caused others to tremble in fear. Master Mateto, don't boast here. I have seen through your character. Chunwei sneered. If you really don't care about this woman, come and slap me to death if you have the guts. At most, I'll take this woman down with me. But do you dare? Do you have guts? He could see that the essence of this Master Mateto was a seductress, a pure seductress. He was reluctant to let go of this beautiful woman, so he was fearless. Moreover, this was his last resort. After all, if he couldn't even threaten Chunwei, he would really die. No matter what, this was the last straw for him to live. Even if he really died, he had to hold on to it. Are you trying to provoke me? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and stared at Chunwei. But seeing Xia Ping's expression, Chunwei became more and more arrogant. He thought that he had caught Xia Ping's weakness. Son of a bitch, so what if I provoke you? Anyway, the hostage is in my hands. It's not that I look down on you. but you are a coward. If you have the guts, kill this woman and me. Come on, if you really have the guts, why don't you come and kill me? I'm right here, weak and powerless. If you have the guts, come and kill me." He shouted crazily. He seemed to have seen through Xia Ping's weakness and concluded that this kid didn't dare to make a move. Now, he had the momentum of having the hostage in his hands. "Oh, then go to hell." Xia Ping looked at Chun Wei indifferently. "What?" Chun Wei was shocked. "Is this kid really going to kill me without caring about the woman's life?" This was completely out of his expectations. Whoosh! At that moment, the infinite war blades that had been hiding in the ground appeared. They shot out from the depths of the ground, moving at a speed 10 times faster than the speed of sound. Cutting through the ground was as easy as cutting through tofu. Not good. Chun Wei's expression changed. His body instinctively warned him of danger, but he had no idea where the danger was coming from. There was no killing intent in the surroundings. Bang! In the next second, a blade pierced out from the ground, causing the ground to crack and a huge hole to appear. In an instant, the infinite war blades pierced through Chun Wei's body. The infinite war blades contain a trace of the power of a sacred gear. It was not something that a mere divine realm cultivator could withstand. Even though his protective vigor was strong, the infinite war blades pierced through him like a piece of paper. His entire body split open from the middle, and just like that, he was cut into 2 halves by the sword. Large amounts of blood spurted out like a fountain, dripping and dripping. This. Chun Wei's eyes were filled with fear, regret, and unwillingness. He wanted to slap Lu Rulon to death before he died, but it was too late. The infinite war blades were faster than he could move. When he tried to make a move, his body was torn apart. I can't accept this." Just before his body was torn apart, Chun Wei roared into the sky in grief and anger. He was a disciple of the Gui Yuan sect and a divine realm cultivator. He had a bright future ahead of him, and he even had the chance to step into the sage realm in the future. However, he was killed on the spot in this aboriginal continent, losing his bright future. How could the ambitious Chun Wei be willing to accept this? How could he accept it? No matter how unwilling he was killed on the spot. Even a deity could not save him. Stupid. Xia Ping looked down at Chun Wei indifferently. The reason why he talked so much to Chun Wei was to distract the kid so that the infinite war blades could be used in secret. With the power of the infinite war blades and the fact that it did not have any killing intent, ordinary cultivators would not be able to detect its whereabouts. It was known as the strongest killer. Therefore, when it made its move, it unleashed its strongest power and killed Chun Wei in an instant. He did not even have the chance to fight back. He was killed just like that. How was he supposed to defend against such an attack? Chapter 1168. Am I dead? After some time, Lu Rulon slowly woke up. She opened her beautiful eyes and realized that she was lying on the ground. The moment she fainted, she thought she had entered the underworld. However, when she regained consciousness and felt the faint pain in her body, she immediately knew that she was not dead. She was still alive and well in this world. The magic power in my body has recovered. Could it be that the medicinal effect has passed? Lu Rulon suddenly realized that she had recovered her powerful magic and could move freely. She immediately stood up from the ground and realized that apart from herself and Xia Ping, there were not many people alive. She looked over and realized that the extraterrestrial devil, Xia Ping, was destroying the corpses. With a gentle tap of his finger, a flame shot out and landed on one of the corpses. Whoosh! After a few breaths, the corpse turned into ashes. A strong wind blew, and it disappeared from this world. A few minutes later, apart from Chang Xian and the rest who were unconscious, the rest of the corpses were gone. Lu Rulon felt like she was hallucinating. If it wasn't for the fact that the place was severely damaged with potholes everywhere, as well as the fact that she had just experienced something, she would have thought that nothing had happened. This B** star was too good at destroying corpses. How many evil things had he done? What happened? Are the others all dead? How long has it been? How did the poison in my body disappear? Lu Rulon stepped forward and asked Xia Ping a series of questions. Yes, they're all dead. Xiaoping nodded. Not too long. Only half an hour has passed. Also, I've detoxified the poison in your body, so you should be fine now. To him, detoxifying the poison in Lu Rulan's body was a piece of cake. As long as he inserted his flame, the poison would be burned away immediately. However, he did not do that earlier because he was worried that he would alert Qinwei and the rest. However, it did not matter now that they were all dead. Are they all dead? Lu Rulan was relieved. She knew that her greatest enemy, Zhua Hao, had been killed by Xiaoping, and she had her revenge. However, she felt empty inside. She did not know what she would become in the future. By the way, come here. I've plundered a lot of things from the Huaining City Soul Palace Master. Can you identify what it is? Xiaoping called out to Lu Rulan and took out a pile of items. He had woken Lu Rulan up because of this matter. He wanted to know the origins of the treasures on Zhua Hao. This is the soul nourishing pill. It's very beneficial for divine tier cultivators. It can increase the strength of the soul and is even more beneficial than soul stones. Moreover, there are no side effects. The medicinal effect is mild, but the price is shocking. Lu Rulan was very envious when she saw 4 to 5 bottles of such pills on the ground. Back then, the Lu family had to pay a huge price to obtain the soul cultivation pills. But now, Xiaoping had casually obtained 4 to 5 bottles of them. What a lucky bastard. Perhaps only a divine tier cultivator would have such precious pills. These pills were not only obtained from Zhua Hao. Xiaoping had also plundered other divine tier cultivators from the Soul Tribe, and had only obtained 4 to 5 bottles of the soul cultivation pills. And these are the more precious spiritual medicines in our blood soul mainland. Golden thread ginseng, northern grass crow, earthroot grass, etc. Lu Rulan listed the spiritual medicines that Xiaoping had obtained in one breath. They were all beneficial to the human body. What about this? What's this badge? Xiaoping took out a black badge that was only the size of a palm. He felt that the black badge contained a mysterious power. It seemed to be engraved with a complicated and mysterious spiritual seal. It was unfathomable. This is the badge of the Soul Palace's branch. It's also the badge of the Palace Master. Seeing this badge is the same as seeing the Palace Master. Lu Rulan was shocked when she saw the badge. It was her first time seeing the Palace Master's badge. I heard that this badge is very precious and cannot be lost. After obtaining this badge, you can mobilize all the armed forces of the Soul Palace in Huaining City. Even all the seal formations in the Soul Palace's branch are under the control of this badge. With this badge, you can enter any forbidden ground in the Soul Palace's branch. You can even control the teleportation formation to report to the main hall. She told him everything she knew in one breath. There's such a thing? Seems like this badge is very useful. Xiaoping rubbed his chin and his eyes flickered. Baddie, what are you trying to do? Don't tell me you're trying to do something bad with this badge? Lu Rulan instinctively sensed that something bad was about to happen. She felt that the Soul Palace was a powerful item that had fallen into the hands of an extraterrestrial devil. If this extraterrestrial devil wanted to do something bad, the Soul Palace would not be able to stop him. Of course. Why would a good person like me want to do something bad? I just want to visit the Soul Palace, Xiaoping said with a smile. He could not forget about the inheritance of the Soul Tribe. Even though he had killed so many Soul Tribe warriors, he still could not find any spiritual secret skills. One could imagine how strict the Soul Tribe was in monitoring their secret skills. They would not allow it to be leaked. You really want to do something bad? Lu Rulan shouted. I advise you not to act recklessly. There are many experts in the Soul Palace. Who knows how many divine power realm cultivators there are? Their strength is not something Zhua Hao can compare with. If you dare to go in and you're discovered by the Soul Palace, you definitely won't be able to escape. I advise you to give up on such a dangerous idea. She tried her best to dissuade Xiaoping because she knew how terrifying this extraterrestrial devil was. If this baddie really entered the Soul Palace, there was no telling how much damage he would cause. It might even shake the entire Blood Soul mainland. Something like the Soul Palace's headquarters being invaded by an extraterrestrial devil was simply unheard of. It was something that had not happened in the past tens of thousands of years. Don't worry. I'll only go in when I'm fully prepared. Xiaoping patted his chest. Lu Rulan's face turned green. As expected, he still wanted to go in. Moreover, he wanted to be fully prepared. Just how shocking was this extraterrestrial devil going to do before he would give up? That's right. I'll have to check the treasures on Chun Wei and the rest as well. Xiaoping ignored Lu Rulan. He made a grabbing motion with his hand, and dozens of spatial rings appeared. They were all found on Chun Wei and the rest. They had all stored their treasures in the spatial rings. In the current universe, spatial rings were very common items. Basically, everyone had one. Chapter 1169. There seems to be a lot of elixirs. First of all, Xiaoping noticed that there were a lot of elixirs related to cultivation in the spatial rings of these people. He carefully counted and found at least 100 bottles with many different kinds of elixirs inside. Good stuff. They are very suitable for your cultivation and can increase your magic power. Corinne also saw the situation of these spatial rings and said, for example, this is the 5 Elements pill from 5 Elements sect, Ling Yun's sect's cloudy pill, and Gui Yuan's sect's origin pill. They are all famous elixirs in the universe, and their value is not inferior to Qinquan's sect's universe pill. If you take one, it can save you at least 3 months of cultivation. Xiaoping knew that sacred level sects have their own unique elixirs, and 5 Elements pill is said to contain the power of the 5 elements, which has a great effect on the human body, allowing the human body to reach a state of balance between the 5 elements. Cloudy pill is a unique elixir of Ling Yun's sect, which can nourish the body and heal internal injuries. It has great benefits for improving the quality of the human body and can also promote the potential of the human body. Gui Yuan sect's origin pill is extremely fierce and has the effect of 10,000 methods returning to 1. It is like a fierce and fierce elixir, and if the body can bear it, its cultivation effect is the first among all the elixirs. Of course, Qinquan sect's yin and yang pill is also not bad, containing the power of yin and yang. It can only be said that each has its own strong points. Not bad. It seems that there are no less than 20 to 30,000 elixirs. This time I can be considered rich. Xiaoping was very happy. These elixirs are enough for him to cultivate to the divine power realm. It is simply a windfall. If he wanted to earn 30,000 yin and yang pills in a sect, he doesn't know how long he would have to wait. Robbery is really the first way to get rich, but the risk is a bit big, and if he fails, he will die. Moreover, in addition to elixirs, he also found the magic weapons on the bodies of these cultivators. In the universe, except for some poor ghosts, basically everyone has a treasure rank magic weapon, which can be said to be basic equipment. As disciples of sacred level sects, these cultivators naturally also have some magic weapons. Spirit tools are really too precious, and ordinary disciples can't have them, but there are still many high-grade treasure rank magic weapons. At least, Xiaoping found a lot of them from these spatial rings. Corinne carefully calculated. This time, Xiaoping obtained no less than 40 high-grade treasure rank magic weapons, 60 middle-grade treasure rank magic weapons, and a number of low-grade treasure rank magic weapons. These treasures were divided into sabers, swords, bows and arrows, halberds, drums, and so on. If he sold these treasure weapons, he would be able to get at least tens of millions of universe credits. Of course, the most precious of these magic treasures was the shadow devouring demon sword in Chun Wei's hand. Its value was more than 10 times that of a high-grade artifact. Although this was a demon sword and was not suitable for Xiaoping to use, if he sold it, he would definitely make a lot of money. That's right. Didn't this kid say that he had the red mist on him? Why can't I find it anywhere? Xiaoping rummaged through Chun Wei's spatial ring, but he couldn't find the poison. He must be bragging. Corinne disdainfully said, "Red mist is really too precious. It is incomparably difficult to obtain. If he really has red mist on him, he would have already taken it out when he fought with you just now. Also, if he really had this kind of poisonous fog, he would have killed all these soul warriors long ago. Why would he need to sign a mental contract with them and rely on cooperation to obtain soul stones?" It believed that Chun Wei was lying. "You're right." Xiaoping nodded, agreeing with Corinne's words. However, he was more or less regretful in his heart. If he could obtain the red mist, he would have one more trump card in his hand. Even if he encountered a strong enemy, he could use the red mist to deal with the enemy and catch them off guard. Although there's no red mist, I found a lot of poisons in this kid's spatial ring. There's slow-acting poisons, strong poisons, soul-inducing medicine, and so on. Corinne clicked his tongue and said, "There's even the cultivation-dissolving poison that you guys were poisoned with." It seems that this kid is simply a little devil. He has long been accustomed to using such despicable methods. He is really well prepared. Corinne was also a little surprised. He found no less than 100 kinds of poisons in Chun Wei's spatial ring, each with a different effect. Some poisons could even easily kill a transcendent realm cultivator. It was likely that this was also Chun Wei's preparation in advance for entering the Blood Soul continent. With these poisons, he could mix in this place like a fish in water and succeed in every endeavor. Cultivation dissolving poison. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He finally knew the name of the poison that could turn many cultivators' magic power into nothingness. It turned out to be called cultivation dissolving poison. It really lived up to its name. By the way, doesn't this poison need to be mixed together with 2 different materials to condense into cultivation dissolving poison? Won't it be very troublesome to use the poison like this? Xiaoping asked. Corinne shook his head. No. This is Chun Wei plotting against you. He only did this because he wanted to delay the poison in your body for half a day. That's why he mixed them together to delay the poison mist effect. If you mix them in advance, you can make a bottle of colorless and odorless poisonous gas that will immediately take effect. If the enemy smells this poisonous gas, they will fall to the ground in less than 3 minutes. Now, there are 2 or 3 bottles of cultivation dissolving poison in this spatial ring. If you need it, you can immediately use it as a trump card. Corinne indicated that a poison like cultivation dissolving poison was classified as a forbidden drug in the universe. It only circulated in the black market and could not be sold openly. If one wanted to obtain it, they would have to pay a huge price. He didn't know what method Chun Wei of Gui Yuan sect had used to obtain it. This is good. Xiaoping touched his chin. He knew how powerful this poison was. It could silently knock down the enemy. It was simply a necessary medicine for home travel, murder, and arson. Under certain circumstances, the effect of this poison was astonishing. After half an hour, Xiaoping and Corinne finished taking inventory of the treasures on their body. Then, Xiaoping carried away the unconscious Changxian and the others and placed them in a secret cave 100 miles away. He wasn't interested in detoxifying the poison in Changxian and the others. So, he let them continue to sleep. Otherwise, when they woke up, it would be very difficult for him to explain himself. Moreover, Xiaoping wasn't interested in explaining such a thing. In short, after leaving the Blood Soul continent, it would be very difficult for him to meet Changxian and the others. Their fate would end here. As for whether they would live or die in the future, it would depend on their luck. Chapter 1170. In the cave of the mineral vein, Xiaoping and Lu Rulan strolled in and saw many digging tools on the ground. There were traces of digging and gravel everywhere. However, it seemed like it was just the beginning and the work had not been going on for a long time. Lu Rulan knew that it was normal. After all, it had not been long since Zhua Hao obtained the soul stone mineral vein. Moreover, he had to send people to kill them and do all sorts of things to cover up his actions. They were even unlucky enough to encounter Chun Wei and the rest who had descended from the sky, causing them to be unable to excavate the soul stones properly. That was why they were still in a state where they had yet to begin. As expected of a soul stone mineral vein, the spiritual energy is so dense. Xiaoping took a deep breath. As soon as he entered the cave, he could sense the dense spiritual energy. It seemed like a slight breath could increase his spiritual energy slightly. Even though he had devoured the remnant spiritual energy of Zhua Hao and the rest, it could not compare to the soul stone mineral vein. It was like a paradise. How do you want to excavate it? Lu Rulan looked at Xiaoping as if she was watching a show. It was not easy to excavate a mountain. Although the destructive power of a cultivator on divine level was shocking, it did not mean that he could excavate the mineral vein easily. If he used too much strength, he might even shatter the soul stone. By then, the loss would outweigh the gain. However, if he was not careful, the entire mountain would collapse, and he would be buried alive in the mountain. It would be even more difficult to excavate the soul stone. Even if none of those things happened, it would take a long time to excavate the entire mineral vein. It would take at least a few months. It's just a small matter. Xiaoping smiled. He had already thought of what to do. With a swoosh, the golden slime appeared on the ground. What? Lu Rilon was shocked. It was her first time seeing such a strange creature. However, since it was released by Xiaoping, she did not think it would be too dangerous. Moreover, the creature was soft like a ball and looked very cute. Compared to the ferocious beasts, it was a mascot that made people want to hug it. Let's do it. Dig out the soul stones here. Xiaoping gave an order to the golden slime. He reckoned that there were very few creatures in the universe that could match the golden slime's mining speed. After all, it was a unique creature that grew by devouring various substances in the world. Mining was a common thing for it. Slime! The golden slime cried out. All of a sudden, its entire body split apart. In just a few breaths' time, hundreds and thousands of golden slimes appeared on the empty ground. However, these golden slimes were much smaller than the original, only the size of fist. This was the slime's splitting ability. They could split into multiple clones and increase the speed of devouring. The golden slimes were the pinnacle existences of the slime's race, and their cloning abilities were naturally top-notch. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Hundreds and thousands of golden slimes cried out. They immediately moved into the depths of the mine, opened their mouths, and began to devour the huge rocks. At once, the rocks in the entire cave disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye, as if they were melted by some substance and were devoured into the stomach of the golden slime. That's fast. Lu Rulon's beautiful eyes widened. She could not believe her eyes. Under the devouring of the golden slime, the entire mine seemed to have disappeared. It was as if the entire mountain was being devoured by the golden slime. Even top-notch mining experts could not match up to such a mining speed. Moreover, it was as if its stomach was loaded with a dimensional bag. No matter how much it devoured, it could not be filled. Half a day passed in the blink of an eye. Under the devouring of the golden slime, the entire mountain seemed to have been hollowed out. In fact, it was hundreds of meters underground. At this moment, a small hill of soul stones appeared on a huge, empty ground. These were all excavated by the golden slime. After a careful count, there were at least 100,000 soul stones. This was an astronomical number. Even in the entire Blood Soul mainland, it was a shocking number. Such rich soul energy. Xiaoping was shocked too. The energy of 100,000 soul stones stacked together was extremely shocking. Even with his current cultivation, his brain would explode if he were to devour 100,000 soul stones. He estimated that these soul stones could at least support his cultivation to the true fire realm. As compared to the sect mission, he had already completed far more soul stones than the mission required. To be able to obtain so many soul stones seems like Xiaoping will evolve faster than expected. Perhaps he will have the ability to search for the treasure left behind by the old master soon. Corinne's eyes flickered as if he was thinking about something. Oh my god! Lu Rilon was shocked too. Even as a native of the Blood Soul mainland, she had never seen so many soul stones. Even the combined wealth of 10 Lu families back then would not be this much. It was no wonder that Zhua Hao, the leader of the Hall of Souls in Huining City, wanted to kill the Lu family. Who wouldn't be tempted by such a shocking amount of wealth? Slime! The golden slime was also very excited, because it sensed that the soul stone was also very beneficial to its evolution. Don't worry, you can eat some of them too. Xiaoping patted the golden slime's little head. He could not devour so many soul stones with him. Moreover, if the golden slime became stronger, it would benefit him greatly too. At this moment, the golden slime's doppelgangers had almost dug out the entire mineral vein and reached the end. Slime! Suddenly, the golden slime called out as if it was in trouble. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Immediately, hundreds and thousands of slime doppelgangers returned to their original bodies. The golden slime sent a telepathic message to Xia Ping, informing him of what had happened to the slime doppelgangers. What? You said that there's a huge barrier at the end of the mineral vein and you can't break in? There might be a relic here. Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He did not expect to dig out a relic barrier while digging out a mineral vein. He waved his hand and placed all the soul stones into his space ring. Then he followed the golden slime deep into the mineral vein and reached the end quickly. Lu Rulan followed Xia Ping. There really is a barrier. When Xia Ping arrived at the end of the mineral vein, he immediately noticed a layer of black energy shrouding the surroundings. It was like a space barrier, isolating all the surrounding objects. Chapter 1171. St. Blood Soul must have stayed here before. However, it was just a temporary residence for him. There doesn't seem to be any treasures here. Xia Ping felt very regretful. Aside from this painting, he did not seem to find any other powerful treasures. Originally, he wanted to obtain a saint artifact. That way, he would really be rich. Lu Rulan looked at the extraterritorial Fiend in disdain. Obtaining that calligraphy piece was already considered a stroke of great luck. Yet, they wanted to obtain a saint's treasure. It was simply a dream. But when she thought about it carefully, that calligraphy piece seemed to be an incredible treasure. The thought of a treasure that belonged to the Blood Soul continent being snatched away by an extraterritorial fiend made her heart ache. Fortunately, there weren't many treasures here. Otherwise, the Blood Soul continent would have suffered great losses. Xia Ping, this space array formation has been figured out. You can go deep into the core and thoroughly refine it, and then you can master the entire space array formation. Corinne said. Xia Ping nodded his head. His divine sense seeped in and immediately found the core of the array formation. He then began to refine it. Because there was no master, it was very easy for him to refine the array formation. A moment later, a black talisman appeared in his hand. It was like a sphere, slowly rotating and emitting wisps of spatial aura. It was the core of the formation. He could feel that with this black talisman, he could control the entire formation at will. The defensive power of the formation increased by several times, and at the same time, he could teleport from any location at any time. It was very convenient. But what's the use of you controlling this array formation? You can't move it away. Moreover, there are no treasures in this place, and you won't stay here for too long. Corinne asked very doubtfully. He felt that refining this array formation was useless. I have a pretty good plan. Perhaps I can earn a large sum of soul stones, or even kill 2 birds with 1 stone and sneak into Soul Palace's headquarters. Xia Ping rubbed his chin as a cunning glint flashed across his eyes. In reality, he had an idea when he found out that this place was once the residence of the Blood Soul Saint. What plan? For some reason, Corinne's body couldn't help but shiver. He always felt that this bastard has a belly full of evil water. This time, he doesn't know how many people will die. Do you have a way to make a photocopier? Xia Ping asked. Corinne nodded his head. This is not a problem. There are countless nano-maintenance robots in the space ring, as well as 3D printing machines. There are also enough materials. Making a photocopier is simply a piece of cake. It could be said that the space ring had become a small-scale factory for the sake of repairing the stars. It was extremely technologically advanced, and as long as the machine was not too complicated, it could be manufactured. That's good. Xia Ping was very satisfied. What do you want to do? Corinne asked again. He was very curious. Xia Ping did not continue speaking. He took out a pen and paper from his space ring and came to the study. He sat on a chair and began to write at great speed. Lu Rulan walked over and glanced at it curiously. It said, I, the Blood Soul Saint, am not dead yet. I'm just sealed by the enemy in a valley hundreds of miles away from Huaining City. I can't leave at the moment. If anyone can bring 100 soul stones to the sealed valley to save me, once I escape, I will definitely make you the Soul Palace Master, and your power will overturn the world. Scoundrel, what are you trying to do? The corner of Lu Rulan's mouth twitched, and she looked at Xia Ping speechlessly. As you can see, I'm planning to trick a group of people to give me soul stones. I'll get them to throw them into this space formation, and then I'll reap the benefits and get rich overnight, Xia Ping said carelessly. You're crazy. Do you think the people of the Blood Soul mainland are so stupid that they'll be tricked by your dirty tricks? Don't look down on people. Lu Rulan was speechless. She didn't even know what to say. This extraterritorial fiend was simply audacious to the extreme. He actually dared to use the name of a sage to cause trouble and even wanted to swindle 100 soul stones. He must have gone crazy thinking of soul stones. To be honest, when she read the words above, she felt that they were all fake and pitiful. How could such words possibly deceive anyone? Did the extraterritorial demons really think that the people of the Blood Soul continent had the intelligence of a 3-year-old? How could they be tricked by such obvious words, and even say that the Blood Soul Saint was not dead? What a joke. Don't worry about it. If some idiots come over, I'll be rich. Xia Ping ignored Lu Rulan's disdainful look and immediately ordered Corinne to make 1,000,000 copies of the paper. He wanted to spread the news across the entire Blood Soul mainland. Although the Blood Soul mainland was huge, there were only 108 super cities. Most of the other places were deserts, mountains, oceans, and so on. As for some of the more remote villages and small towns, they were probably so poor that they could not even fork out a single soul stone. Therefore, all he had to do was to target these super cities and attract all the cultivators of Divinity Realm from the big cities. All right, Corinne also felt that the idea was unreliable, but since it was Xia Ping's order, he did not reject it. After all, he would know whether it was effective or not when the time came. An hour later, Xia Ping and Lu Rulan left the space formation, intending to head to Huaining City. To spread the news across the 108 cities of the Blood Soul mainland, they had to use the teleportation formation of the Hall of Souls in order to quickly head to other cities. Otherwise, God knew how long it would take to reach other cities given the size of the Blood Soul mainland. Xia Ping was not worried about not being able to use the teleportation formation of the Hall of Souls because he had the Hall of Souls token left behind by Zhua Hao. With the token and the disguise mask, he could completely transform into Zhua Hao and deceive the people of the Hall of Souls. What are you doing? Lu Rulan looked at Xia Ping, and her mind was filled with question marks. This was because she saw that Xia Ping, the extraterritorial demon, was actually acting as a road marker in this valley. She did not know where this fellow had found a huge rock and written a few words on it, Blood Soul Saint Seal. Moreover, he had even made direction signs on the trees along the way from the valley to Huaining City. All of them pointed to the original soul stone vein, as if he was afraid that people would not be able to find the way. Of course I'm making a road sign. What if someone comes looking for me, but can't find the valley? I'm serving the people, Xia Ping said carelessly. Bullsh *T. Lu Rulan looked at Xia Ping in disdain. How was he serving the people? He was clearly worried that people would not be able to find the valley and would not be able to scam the soul stones. Then again, which idiot would be fooled by such a lie? Not a single person would come. By then, everything the extraterrestrial devil did would be useless. Chapter 1172. Huaining City. This was a super city that could accommodate hundreds of millions of people. It was vast and had antique buildings like an ancient city. Countless soul race members lived here. The center of Huaining City was not the city lord's mansion, but a soul palace. A huge building occupied the most central position and looked majestic. From this, one could see the importance of Soul Palace. Its power was above the city lord. At this moment, Xia Ping and Lu Rulan appeared in front of Huaining City Soul Palace. I'm finally back. Lu Rulan was very emotional. Ever since she left Huaining City a few days ago, she never thought she would come back so soon. Moreover, she came back openly and the enemy was already dead. Now that she had changed her appearance, she did not have to worry about her real identity being discovered by acquaintances. As expected of an important place in this native continent, the security is really tight. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. He could feel that this huge building had built a huge formation that covered an area. If an enemy dared to enter, they would definitely suffer an unimaginable blow. Even Divine Realm cultivators would die. Be careful. I sense that there seems to be an enemy following you in the surroundings. After entering Huining City, the other party has been following behind us. Corin warned. He had detected an unknown danger in the vicinity, which might be an enemy of Divine Power Realm. However, he was very confused. Their previous actions were very secretive, and there should not be any witnesses. Why were they being followed as soon as they came to Huining City? Moreover, Xiaoping had already changed his appearance to Zhua Hao, which was completely different from before. It's okay, I know who the enemy is. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and looked at the corner of the street. There were a few sneaky figures. They thought that their whereabouts were very secretive, but they did not know that they were already exposed in the system. He also knew who was following him. They were the famous 7-Kill Gang. When the 7-Kill Gang showed killing intent towards him, it was already detected by the Super Aggro system. However, the 7-Kill Gang was very far away from him, so he temporarily ignored them. However, he didn't expect that these assassins were so capable that they could actually follow him. However, in Huining City, the great origin of the Soul Clan, the 7-Kills Gang would not dare to kill without confidence. After all, not only did they want to kill Xiaoping, but they also wanted to get out of here alive. They did not want to perish together. Mad Slaughter Saint, I didn't expect to offend such an enemy. But since I've taken Dark North Saint as my master, there must be a loss. Xiaoping's eyes flickered. But it's not a good thing to let the 7 Murders Gang continue to follow us. It seems that I have to find a chance to eliminate these killers. Thinking of this, he and Lu Rulon walked into Huining City's Soul Palace. Lord Zhua Hao. At this moment, the guards at the gate of Soul Palace immediately noticed Xiaoping's presence. They immediately greeted him in fear and trepidation, because he was one of the most influential figures in Huining City. If they offended him, it would be a light punishment if their heads fell to the ground. It can't be. Lord Zhua Hao has returned. That's great. We've been out for so many days. I thought something had gone wrong. That's strange. Why is there only Lord Zhua Hao with a woman? Were the other guards? A group of Soul Palace managers received the news and immediately came out to greet them. However, they quickly realized that aside from Zhua Hao and Lu Rulon, there was no one else. They still have important matters to attend to. I ordered them to carry out a secret mission. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back, as if telling them not to ask too much. Otherwise, he would flip out on the spot. Everyone immediately shut up, not daring to ask any more questions. Yo, Zhua Hao, you truly have quite the grandeur. You've become arrogant after becoming a Soul Palace branch palace master. Do you think that Soul Palace's power is your own? Using public tools for personal gain. Do you know how great of a crime this is? I can report to Soul Palace's palace master at any moment to remove your black hat. Do you understand? A middle-aged man with a voice like a rooster's voice walked out. He had a pair of triangular eyes and a sinister and cunning expression. He looked at Xiaoping with resentment. Who do you think you are? Xiaoping glanced sideways at the middle-aged man. A middle-aged manager's face lost color and quickly said in a low voice, Lord Zhua Hao, you can't do that. This is Elder Tambo from Soul Palace's main palace. He's an imperial envoy. I heard he seemed to know you before. His expression was a bit strange. He felt that it was too strange that Zhua Hao didn't know this Elder Tambo. Lu Rulon's heart skipped a beat. Don't tell me their impersonation of Zhua Hao was exposed. No. How would I know such a small character? Don't joke around. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back. He looked at Tambo with even more disdain. He didn't look guilty at all, instead confidently saying he didn't know this person. Zhua Hao, small character? Who the hell is a small character? You really have the guts to say such things. I haven't seen you for a while, and you've become so arrogant. Hearing this, Tambo's nose almost went crooked from anger. He felt like smoke was coming out of his 7 orifices. He wanted to rush up and beat Xiaoping up. He thought that Zhua Hao had said those words on purpose to pick a fight with him. He was mocking him in front of so many people, saying that he, Tambo, was just a small character that people couldn't remember. He and Zhua Hao had a grudge before, and their relationship wasn't good. They almost fought when they met. He didn't expect it to be even more ridiculous this time. Zhuo Hao even said that he didn't know him. How preposterous. The people around them broke out in cold sweat. It was really a fight between immortals, and it was the little devil who suffered. However, they also realized that it wasn't that Zhuo Hao didn't know Tan Bo, but that he was being sarcastic. Although they had heard that Zhuo Hao and Tan Bo didn't have a good relationship, they didn't expect it to be this bad. Lu Rulan, on the other hand, was frightened out of her wits. These extraterritorial fiends were really daring to say something like that. If anyone were to find out about their true identities, they might not even know how they died. How could this idiot be so daring? It's none of your business. If there's nothing else, get lost. I've been out for a long time, and I'm tired. I want to rest, and I don't have the energy to talk nonsense with you. Xiaoping waved his hand and ordered his guest to leave. Rest? Rest my ass. I think you want to come back and flirt with women. Tan Bo's gloomy eyes fell on Lu Rulan. Looking at her perfect face, curvaceous body, and holy aura like a saintess, he was extremely jealous. Such a beautiful woman actually fell into Zhuo Hao's hands. The heavens really didn't have eyes. This bastard's life in Huaining City was truly comfortable. There were many benefits, and it was many times better than staying in Soul Palace's main palace as a monk. In reality, although he was a Soul Palace main palace elder, and his position was slightly higher than Zhuo Hao's in terms of actual power and enjoyment, he was still lacking. Chapter 1173. What are you arguing about? At this moment, a voice rang out. 2 or 3 people walked over from the distance. One of them was a young man wearing a gorgeous robe and exuding an aura of nobility. One look, and it was obvious that his identity was unspeakably noble. Beside this young man were 2 old men with imposing auras. As they walked over, they were like mountains. Shockingly, they were early-stage divine realm cultivators. Not any weaker than Tan Bo. Seeing these 3, Tan Bo jumped in fright and hurriedly cupped his hands. Young Master Chong, why are you here? Sorry for not going out to meet you. Sorry for not going out to meet you. He immediately recognized that this man was no ordinary person. He was the 3rd son of Soul Palace's lord. Changqi. The 2 beside him were Changqi's left and right arms. They were also Soul Palace elders with high positions. After all, among the many Soul Palace elders, different people had completely different statuses. There were different ranks and ranks. Not to mention, this was the Soul Palace Lord's son, equivalent to a country's prince. He didn't dare to be arrogant in front of him. I came out for a walk this time to find a culprit who killed my big brother Chong Feng. I think he's called Master Potato. Changqi was murderous. That culprit was very arrogant. After killing my big brother, he still dared to leave his name, angering my father. He swore to catch the culprit and tear him to pieces. By the way, did you find anything? Do you know anything about the wind blowing the grass? He looked at Tan Bo. No, I just arrived at Huaining City and don't have any clues. In reality, Tan Bo had come to Huaining City to investigate this matter. Now that Soul Palace Lord Chang Shisheng had given the order, the entire Blood Soul continent was shaken. Even elders like them were sent to various places to search for the culprit. Whatever. I can tell you don't know anything just by looking at you. Changqi did not mind. Soon, his attention was focused on Xiaoping and Lu Rulan. His eyes lit up when he saw Lu Rulan. Although Lu Rulan had disguised her beautiful face, her unique aura, figure, and charm were enough to move a man. She exuded an unusual charm that made people want to have sex with her. Zhuo Hao, who is this lady? Changqi asked, his tone arrogant and commanding as he questioned Xiaoping, as if he were superior interrogating his subordinate. My woman, Xiaoping said plainly as he hugged Lu Rulan's slender waist. Her voluptuous figure was pressed tightly against his body. Lu Rulan's pretty face instantly turned red, but she did not struggle at all. It was as if her entire body had softened into his. Not bad. Send it to my room later. I'll put in a good word for you to my father, Changqi said matter-of-factly. He wanted to ask Xiaoping for Lu Rulan. To him, this was an extremely ordinary and small matter. As the son of the Hall of Souls Hall Master, his status was extremely noble, like that of a prince. Thus, heading to the various large cities of the Blood Soul continent was equivalent to lowering himself to pay a private visit. Every time he arrived at a large city, those large families or Soul Palace branch palace cadres would come up to curry favor with him. As long as he liked something, they would give it to him. In fact, as long as he took a fancy to something, he would immediately give it to him without any hesitation. Even if he had to send his wife or daughter to serve him, he wouldn't hesitate. As long as they could win his favor, they would immediately obtain great benefits. In reality, his father, Chang Shisheng, was the same. As the Soul Palace Master, he often visited incognito and left behind countless illegitimate children in the Blood Soul continent. Hearing this, Lu Rilon's expression turned ugly. She knew that in the Blood Soul continent, men were superior to women. In a feudal society, women basically did not have much status. This was especially true for some important figures. If they took a fancy to a beautiful woman, they could even rob her on the street. Whoever dared to resist would be beaten to death on the spot. Send it to your room? Xiaoping looked at Changqi as if he was looking at an idiot. Who do you think you are? Have you ever weighed yourself before? Do you think you're so great just because you're the son of the Soul Palace Master? Usually, I don't bicker with you because I'm giving face to your father. Do you really think you're so great? Do you believe that I won't break all 3 of your legs on the spot and let you walk out of here horizontally today? What? Not only Tan Bo, but even the Huaining City Branch Palace's officers were stunned. They never expected Zhua Hao to say such words. Facing the Soul Palace's palace master's son, he was boasting shamelessly and rebuking him without giving him any face. Was this guy not afraid of the Soul Palace Master Chang Shisheng's wrath? Tan Bo was dumbfounded. Although he knew Zhua Hao was a bit different from before, he did not expect him to be this arrogant. He even dared to offend the palace master's son. Zhua Hao, how dare you speak to young Master Chang in such a manner? Do you know who you are? An old man roared and glared at Xiaoping. He was unable to restrain his anger. Changqi's face was very black, like coal. He was full of anger. He had come out incognito for a long time, but this was the first time he met a Soul Palace sub-palace master who didn't give him any face. This was clearly a slap to his face. He only wanted him to ask for a woman, yet he was so arrogant. How preposterous! Who I am? Xiaoping sneered. This brat is only the Soul Palace Master's son. Who knows how many sons the Palace Master has? Who does Changqi think he is to be so arrogant in front of me? Get the hell out of Soul Palace sub-palace. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. He ordered them to leave. Tan Bo and the others were scared silly. Although they also knew these facts, such words could not be said at all. This was treason. It was simply a slap in the face. There was no room for negotiation. Bastard. Changqi completely flipped out. He was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. Zhua Hao, you bastard. You're just taking advantage of your seniority. If a tiger doesn't show its might, you'll really think I'm a sick cat. You dare tell me to get the hell out? Go immediately take this old thing down and cripple him. If anything happens, Changqi, will take responsibility. I'll let him know what it means when a gentleman gets angry, blood splashes 3 feet. After being a dog for so long, he still dares to betray his master. How dare he rebel against the heavens? Xiaoping's words hit the sore spot in his heart. He was fuming with anger. Yes, he really wasn't the palace master's only son. He didn't even have much hope of becoming the next palace master. Moreover, among his many sons, he was the most oppressed. However, no matter what, he was still the Soul Palace master's son. He was still a prince. How could he tolerate someone rubbing his nose in his face? This was like stepping on the head of a god. He immediately ordered the 2 Soul Palace elders to attack Xiaoping and completely cripple him. Yes, young Chang. Chapter 1174. Oh no! Hearing this, Huaining City's many subordinates' expressions changed. They didn't expect Changqi to give such an order, and even 2 Soul Palace elders to take action. If Zhua Hao was really beaten up and captured, this matter would probably get out of hand. However, in front of Soul Palace elders, they couldn't fight back at all. The difference was too big, too big. Serves you right. Serves you right for being unlucky. In contrast to the Huaining city subordinates' worries, Tambo was secretly delighted while secretly despising Xiaoping. If he hadn't been too arrogant, he wouldn't have ended up like this. He thought this guy was dead for sure. Though they were all divine ability realm initial stage cultivators, it didn't mean their strengths were the same. As Soul Palace elders, they were proficient in Soul Palace's many mental secret techniques. The fighting strength they could display wasn't something a mere sub-palace lord could compare to. Moreover, there were two of them. With numbers on their side, this guy's only fate was to be defeated and lose all his martial arts, unable to act like a tyrant again. If you always walk by the river, you'll get your shoes wet. It's finally your turn. Tambo was proud. He had been at odds with Zhua Hao for a long time. Seeing his old rival finally fall, he was extremely happy. Later on, he would trample on this brat a few times as a way to vent the resentment he had accumulated for so many years. Golden Bell Vibration Technique. In an instant, the two Soul Palace elders attacked at the same time, using the Soul Race's secret mental technique. Immediately, a golden bell seemed to appear in the void, shining with endless golden light. This was an illusion created by the power of divine sense. No way, this is one of the Soul Race's supreme mental secret techniques, Golden Bell Vibration Technique. Many Huaining city subordinates were shocked. They had heard of this shocking mental secret technique before. It could transform into a golden bell and emit the power of a mental shock. Once the golden bell was rung, the destructive power of a mental shock would erupt. It was several times more terrifying than other mental attacks. Even defensive treasures wouldn't help. Their brains would be instantly destroyed as if they were struck by lightning. This secret technique had once made great contributions in the battle against the Outer Realm Fiends. A single ring of the Golden Bell meant the death of tens of thousands of people. It was unstoppable and invincible. Clank, 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 clank. Immediately, the Golden Bell vibrating spell broke out. A golden bell rang in the void, giving off a crisp sound. Terrifying spiritual waves spread out from the two elders. In the depths of the void, a series of condensed ripples suddenly appeared. Like waves, they attacked Xiaoping and covered an area. The entire earth seemed to be trembling, and cracks appeared on the ground. Kacha, kacha! Run, run quickly! Tanbo and the others' expressions changed drastically. They also felt a fatal threat because this mental attack was an indiscriminate attack. If they were to stay nearby, they would also be attacked and die without a burial place. They quickly fled in all directions, afraid that if they stayed here for even half a second, they would be instantly killed. The power of two early-stage divine tier cultivators was not to be trifled with. Cultivators who had not reached divine tier would basically die if they were hit by such a mental attack. Even if it was a cultivator of the same level, without a sufficiently strong soul, they would still be shaken into an idiot on the spot. Dong! Without even looking, Xiaoping took a step forward and bellowed, executing the 8 notes of the heavenly dragon. Roar! Immediately, a heavenly dragon seemed to vaguely appear in the void, roaring at the sky. It contained supreme dragon might and was earth-shattering. It seemed that half of Huaining City could hear this loud roar. Some people even saw a heavenly dragon appear in the sky above Huaining City, hidden in the clouds and looking down from above. The supreme pressure descended, extremely terrifying. In an instant, the golden bell was smashed into pieces as soon as it came into contact with the dragon might. It seemed to be crushed back, and the power exploded inch by inch, creating huge pits in the ground. Impossible! The two elders of the Hall of Soul were shocked. They could not believe their eyes. They had clearly executed the Golden Bell vibrating spell, one of the supreme secret techniques of the Soul Race. It should be able to kill everything in an instant. Moreover, the two of them had joined forces to deal with one person. However, it was broken by Zhua Hao's roar. The entire Golden Bell was shattered into pieces, and the terrifying mental pressure even descended on their bodies, causing them to suffer a backlash. Immediately, the two elders let out shrill screams. Blood flowed out of their orifices, and their entire bodies were blown away. They flew hundreds of meters away, creating a deep crack on the ground, and finally smashed into the wall. They could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Their lungs were severely injured, and they were on the verge of death. Even their souls were greatly injured. If they were not divine realm cultivators with powerful souls, they would probably have been shattered by the roar just now. Overestimating yourselves. Xiaoping looked down at the two elders on the ground indifferently. His body emitted endless majesty, as if there was a heavenly dragon resting in the depths of his body. Too powerful. Many cadres of Huining City were shocked. They felt the irresistible pressure, as if they were facing a natural enemy. This was a super creature that was fundamentally different from them. It was sacred, ancient, and great. They had worked with Zhuo Hao for a long time, but now they felt extremely unfamiliar. This power made them feel extremely humble, and they wanted to crawl on the ground. How can he be this powerful? Tan Bo's face turned green. He was extremely jealous and shocked. He thought that even if his power was a bit weaker than Zhuo Hao, it was not by much. Moreover, he had entered the main palace of Soul Palace to further his studies, learning many mental secret techniques and grasping powerful offensive techniques. He should have surpassed Zhuo Hao. However, looking at it now, he was far inferior to this guy. The difference was even greater. This guy's power was simply unfathomable. Just what had he experienced in these years? Also, where did he get this mental secret technique? How come he had never seen it before? This. Changqi fell to the ground in fear, paralyzed. His two biggest helpers had been crippled in one move. Now, no one could protect him. His face was ashen as he looked at Xiaoping in fear. Don't come over. I'm the son of Soul Palace's palace master. I'm the son of Soul Palace's palace master. Do you understand? Changqi roared in an attempt to scare Xiaoping. Noisy. Chapter 1175. You piece of trash, without your father, what can you do? You dare to be arrogant in front of me with this kind of ability? Have you considered your own abilities? Xiaoping stared down at Changqi from above. Just like that, he stared at him. You. Changqi's nostrils flared with anger. He couldn't speak. Being slapped by Xiaoping was painful to the core. It was as if every cell in his body was being bitten by ants. As the son of Soul Palace's palace master, he had been pampered since he was young. He had never experienced such pain before, let alone being slapped away and losing 2 or 3 teeth. This was a great humiliation. You don't accept it? You dare look at me. I'll cripple your 3rd leg and turn you into a eunuch. Let's see if you still accept it and if you can still be a palace master. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He suddenly lifted his leg and kicked Changqi's crotch. It was as if an elephant was trampling on him. No. Changqi let out a shrill scream like a castrated pig. His eyes almost popped out. As a man's most important part, if it was crippled, he would rather die. Even if he became a Soul Palace Master in the future, it would be meaningless. Facing the harem of 3,000 beauties, he could only watch and not touch them. This was the greatest torture in the world. Moreover, if he became a eunuch, he could not become a palace master. No one would be willing to lower themselves to a eunuch. This was related to Soul Palace's face. This was practically destroying his life. Dong! Xiaoping's foot landed on the ground, instantly creating a hole. Rocks flew everywhere. This foot didn't hit Changqi's important part, but was slightly off. After all, he still had to play the role of Huining City's palace master perfectly. If he really crippled Changqi, it would probably anger the Soul Palace's palace master and cause trouble for his next mission. So he was just scaring Changqi. Did he faint? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He felt like this scare was too effective. Changqi had completely fainted. His eyelids were white, and his body was twitching. He was foaming at the mouth, like a dead fish floating out of the water. That kick would probably cast a shadow on him for the rest of his life. Take these pieces of trash away for treatment. Don't stay here and be an eyesore. Xiaoping waved his hand and ordered the shocked Soul Palace cadres. Yes, Palace Master. At this moment, the cadres seemed to wake up from a dream. They quickly went up and took the 2 heavily injured Soul Palace elders, as well as the fainted Changqi away for treatment. If these three important people died here, no one present would be able to escape. They would definitely face the fury of the Soul Palace's palace master, and no one knew what would happen afterwards. Zhuo, you're crazy. Do you know the consequences of this? How dare you hit the temple master's son? Tambo looked at Xia Ping as if he was looking at a lunatic. What are the consequences? Could it be that he dares to remove me from my position? Xia Ping said lightly. Tambo was speechless. Being able to become a city's sub-palace master was equivalent to a feudal lord. Even though Soul Palace's main palace master had immense authority, he couldn't remove his position for no reason. The problem was, even if he couldn't remove his position, he could still scheme in secret. As long as he was still on Blood Soul Continent, he couldn't hide from Palace Master's influence. The problem was, even if he couldn't remove his position for the time being, he could still plot against him secretly. As long as he was still on the Blood Soul Continent, he wouldn't be able to escape the influence of the Hall Master. However, Tanbo didn't know that Zhuo wasn't the real person right now, but a warrior from another region. He wasn't worried about Palace Master's revenge. As long as he finished his plan, he could leave immediately. However, Tambo did not know that Zhuo was not the real Zhuo, but a cultivator from the outer realm. He was not worried about the Hall Master's revenge. As long as he completed his plan, he could leave immediately. Of course, if things developed beyond imagination, leaving Blood Soul Continent wasn't a problem. So, he didn't have to worry about Palace Master's revenge. Also, don't all nobles have guts? If he can become Soul Palace Master, why can't I? Xia Ping squinted his eyes. What? Hearing this, Tambo was shocked. He didn't expect Zhuo to have such a shocking idea. He wanted to become Soul Palace Master. How ambitious. One had to know that the entire Blood Soul Continent was filled with experts, and the number of people who wanted to become the Hall Master of the Hall of Souls was as small as the number of carps in the river. The difficulty of becoming the Hall Master of the Hall of Souls was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Could it be that he had some fortuitous encounter recently that made him so confident? For a moment, Tanbo's eyes flickered. He didn't know why Zhuo would suddenly act like this. He felt very strange, as if he had become unfathomable. However, Xia Ping ignored Tanbo and left with Lu Rulon. At that moment, in a street corner outside of Huaning City's palace, whoosh, 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 7 figures appeared here. They were dressed inconspicuously and looked at the huge building with vicious eyes. They were the 7 Kills gang that had come to kill Xia Ping. Strange, he actually changed his appearance and snuck into this Soul Palace's branch palace. How audacious. Could it be that he isn't afraid of being discovered by Soul Palace's people and dying? Big Brother Fongdi's expression was very grave. Originally, he wanted to attack Xia Ping when he found traces of him in Huaning City. He didn't expect Xia Ping to not stop and not give him a chance to attack. He went straight to the Soul Palace. This way, they were a little cautious because if they attacked here, they would definitely be discovered by Soul Race experts. At that time, they would definitely fall into chaos. It would be fine if they could kill him in one hit. The worst-case scenario was that they failed and were surrounded by Soul Race experts. They would be surrounded and chased. That would be a joke. As slightly famous assassins in the universe, they didn't want to attack without absolute confidence. This would alert the enemy and make them cautious. It wouldn't be so easy to attack next time. Of course, they didn't expect that they had already been exposed. It really is strange. You have to know that Soul Race's palace has many restrictive arrays that could detect the power of Soul Race and Universe Warriors. If an unfamiliar power sneaks in, it will definitely trigger an alarm. At that time, even if you want to escape, you won't be able to. Although I'm confident in infiltrating any secret place, I don't dare to enter Soul Palace. 7th Brother Kong Nua said in a low voice. As an assassination expert, he had assassinated presidents of small countries and killed his way into heavily guarded forbidden areas. He had rich experience in assassination. However, he was still very convinced of Soul Palace's guards. After all, the mental power scanning method was always successful. His assassin's aura and Universe Warrior's aura couldn't be hidden at all. In the past, some universe assassins had tried to infiltrate Soul Palace, but they were all killed by Soul Palace people. Without exception, there are precedents. Chapter 1176. I'm not sure what this guy did. Second brother Mao Bu's eyes flickered. However, this kid is a sage's disciple. Perhaps his master gave him some special treasure that can hide his true identity. That's not strange. He attributed this matter to Xia Ping's master, Dark North Saint. Damn it, what a lucky guy. Having an awesome master really makes a difference. It's not just different. It's like reaching the heavens in a single step. No matter where he goes, there are many benefits. It's incomparable. The group was filled with envy and jealousy. But what do we do now? He entered Soul Palace, and we can't break in. Can we only watch from here? Someone asked in a low voice. Why don't we expose his true identity and say he's actually an outer realm devil? What do you guys think? Idiot. We haven't even said his true identity and will be exposed. Do you want to die with him? Most importantly, even if we tell him his identity, no one will believe us. That's true. Though we don't know what he did. Since he dared to enter Soul Palace, he must have made preparations. We can't just say a few words to expose him. Let's wait. We can only wait for him to come out. He can't know that we're trying to assassinate him. He's never exposed himself, so he won't have any vigilance. That's right. Don't be impatient. Wait for the opportunity to assassinate him. As long as he hasn't left Blood Soul Continent, we will have opportunities to assassinate him. There will always be a time when we relax. 7 Kill Gang nodded. As excellent killers, they were equivalent to excellent hunters. They had ample patience when it came to capturing prey. In order to assassinate a business tycoon, they hid in his house for half a year, eating grass and drinking water every day before finally killing him. Therefore, waiting wasn't a big problem for them. That night, in a villa in Huining City. At this moment, Chang Chi and the 2 Soul Palace elders beside him woke up. However, they were tied up like mummies and couldn't move at all. After a simple treatment from a doctor and large amounts of precious medicine, they barely recovered some strength. However, if they wanted to get out of bed and walk, they would need at least half a month of rest. Zhuohao, that damn Zhuohao, that bastard Zhuohao. As soon as Chang Chi woke up, he let out a thunderous roar. I can't forgive him. I absolutely can't forgive him. I'm going to report this to my father. Send an army to the border and kill him. I'm going to slaughter his entire clan. He was so angry that he even had the heart to chop Xia Ping into pieces. As the Soul Palace's palace master's son, he had lived an extravagant life since he was young and was doted on. When had he ever been beaten to such a state? Furthermore, he had been scared unconscious. This was simply a great humiliation, especially when he recalled the previous scene. He simply shuddered. If Xia Ping had made a slight mistake, the rest of his happiness would have been gone. Thinking about how he was only one step away from becoming a eunuch, his hatred for Xia Ping increased. His whole body was trembling. If Xia Ping appeared here, he would pounce on him and tear him into pieces. Young Chang, calm down. You have to calm down. Not only do you want to kill him, but we also want to kill him immediately. A Soul Palace elder advised. How am I supposed to calm down? How am I supposed to calm down? Chang Chi flew into a rage. That bastard almost crippled me. Just a little bit more. If that bastard wasn't careful, I would have become a eunuch in Blood Soul Continent. I wouldn't even be able to sleep with a woman. Don't you think that bastard deserves to die? You want me to fucking calm down? How am I supposed to calm down? He was absolutely furious. He had never been this angry before. Young Chang, think about it carefully. Why is that fellow so arrogant? He doesn't even put the palace master in his eyes. As the palace master of a small Soul Palace branch palace, don't you think this is very unusual? Could it be that he's just sticking his head out with an enormous faction behind him? His goal is to use this to scheme against the palace master? A Soul Palace elder said in a low voice. He was very suspicious that Xia Ping had other goals, no matter how he looked at it. Teaching the palace master's son a high-profile lesson without any regard for the consequences was extremely strange. Being able to become a Soul Palace branch palace master wasn't easy to deal with. Everything he did was done after careful consideration. It definitely wasn't as simple as it seemed. This At this moment, Chang-Chi calmed down. His entire body shivered, thinking that this fellow's goal wasn't to deal with him, but rather his father standing behind him. He immediately shivered. If his father was no longer the Soul Palace master and immediately fell from power, would he still be able to act like this? At that time, the number of people who wanted to kill him would probably line up from the east to the west of the city. Therefore, all of his anger disappeared, and he became incomparably gloomy. No matter how he was in this kind of family, he was very obedient. He wasn't a simple hedonistic son. Elder Pan, what do you say about this? Chang-Chi asked in a low voice. Seeing Chang-Chi calm down, the Soul Palace elder was very satisfied and said, I suspect that there are two possibilities for this Zhua how to be so arrogant. One is that he's truly an idiot who doesn't care about the consequences. However, I feel that the possibility of this isn't high. After all, being able to become a Soul Palace Branch Palace master doesn't have a simple mind. The second possibility is that he hooked up with another faction in Soul Palace, one that opposes the Palace Master. In order to pay his allegiance to that faction, he beat young Master Chong. It's even possible that this operation was a test to lure the snake out of its hole and see how much strength the Palace Master has around him. No matter what, I believe that this operation was clearly targeted at the Palace Master. Pulling one hair will affect the whole situation. Young Master Chang's matter is no small matter. We must be careful. Otherwise, we may very well be consigned to eternal damnation. Since ancient times, political struggles were always the cruelest. It was easy to exterminate entire clans and families. Then what should I do? Hearing the Soul Palace elder say this, Chang-Chi became a bit afraid. Bide our time, the Soul Palace elder said in a low voice. In short, we need to find out who this fellow has behind him and what he wants to do. Once we figure out his background, it won't be too late to make a countermeasure. For a gentleman to take revenge, 10 years is not too late. Once we figure out his background, he's dead for sure. No one will be able to save him. His killing intent soared. Clearly, he was angered by Xia Ping's actions this time. The two sides now had a death grudge. Chapter 1177. 3 days later, Xia Ping didn't act rashly in the beginning after entering Huaining City's branch palace. Instead, he took this opportunity to learn about the big and small affairs of Huaining City Soul Palace, as well as various taboos. This was because Xia Ping had gone crazy and beaten up Chang-Chi, shocking everyone. Moreover, after beating up Chang-Chi hadn't taken any action to retaliate. This was even more shocking. Therefore, his authority as a hall master reached an unprecedented height. No one dared to question him. Regarding these questions, they only thought that Xia Ping was trying to knock them down a peg. Therefore, no matter what Xia Ping asked, they would answer without hiding anything. You may begin. After understanding the situation, Xia Ping took the teleportation formation in Huaining City and used his authority as the hall master to head to other super cities to distribute the flyers. He didn't need to do it himself. He gave the golden slime an order, and then it split into thousands of pieces. They carried the leaflets and entered the streets and alleys of the city in the darkness, letting countless people know of this news. As the golden slimes were extremely fast and could change their form and color, they could be in a state of invisibility. No one knew who spread the news. The next morning, almost everyone on the streets and alleys knew the news. Have you heard? Actually, Blood Soul Saint isn't dead yet. He's just sealed up. Now, we only need 100 soul stones to free him. When that time comes, we'll be rich and can become Soul Palace Lord. Someone shouted with the leaflet in his hand. Bullsh asterisk T. I don't even know where you got this news from. How can you believe such words? Do you really think I'm stupid? That's right. Even if Saint Bloodsoul didn't die, why would he use such a stupid method to escape? Do you really think saints are something? Saint Bloodsoul was able to break free with just 100 soul stones. Saint Bloodsoul's seal really isn't worth that much. This must be some mischievous young master of some aristocratic family spreading this kind of third-rate news. Those who believe in such things are called fools. Even if you want to deceive people, you should at least be a little more skilled at deceit. You can't just tell a lie that can be easily seen through. This is really the biggest joke of the year. Many people in the city knew about this news, but most of them scoffed at it. They didn't believe any of the words on the flyer and treated it as a joke. Putting aside whether the Blood Soul Saint was truly dead or not, just the fact that he was still alive and was sealed in some valley meant that he could be freed with just 100 soul stones? Was this a joke? Just how powerful was the power that sealed the Blood Soul Saint? How could a mere 100 soul stones be enough to break the seal? But time passed day by day. 10 days. 20 days. Finally, a month had passed. Not only this city, but 108 super cities across the entire Blood Soul continent were spreading the news that the Blood Soul Saint was sealed in a valley near Huining City. As the saying goes, 3 people make a tiger. Sometimes, when rumors are spread too much, they will become true. What's going on? This rumor is spreading like wildfire. It seems like the entire Blood Soul continent knows about it. Could it be that the Blood Soul Saint is not dead, but has been sealed away? That's impossible. Even if the Blood Soul Saint is not dead and is sealed away, how could the location of his seal be leaked so easily? The problem is, the news is spreading like wildfire, as if it is true. We have no choice but to believe it. It's not groundless. Indeed, let's look at it from a different angle. At first glance, it might seem like a joke, but what if it's true? If it's true, we'll be rich. We'll be able to save Saint Blood Soul with just 100 soul stones. By then, we will be the benefactors of the Blood Soul Saint. Wouldn't we be able to ascend to the heavens in one step? The leader of the Hall of Souls would be nothing. Yeah. Anyway, the flyer said the location of the Blood Soul Saint's seal. Can we just go check it out? If we go there and find out that it's fake, we won't be at a disadvantage when we come back. If it is true, we will be rich. Even if a portion of people did not believe it, a few people out of 10,000 believed it. That was enough. They were hoping for a fluke. What if it was true? Moreover, they were only going to check the location of the seal. If it was fake, they would not hand over the soul stones. No matter how they looked at it, they would not be at a disadvantage. Therefore, a small portion of people decided to check the valley near Huining City to see if the information on the flyer was true. Even if this portion of people was extremely small in the population of the Blood Soul continent, less than 1 in 100,000, it was not a small portion when the population exceeded tens of trillions. The news had undoubtedly spread to the Hall of Souls and was immediately known by the higher-ups of the Hall of Souls. What is going on? Why is this rumor spreading like wildfire? It's also said that the Blood Soul Saint is not dead and is sealed in the valley. Who did it? Did they find the culprit who spread the rumor? The palace master of the Hall of Souls, Chang Shisheng, was very angry. He was already very annoyed to find the culprit who killed his son. Now that such a big thing had happened, he even wanted to kill someone. I'm sorry, Sir Palace Master. We spent all our efforts to find the culprit. We only know that the news spread overnight. However, we have no idea where the rumor originated from. The group of subordinates was extremely ashamed. As the largest force in the Blood Soul continent, they had the responsibility to monitor the world. However, they could not find the source of the rumor. This was a considerable degree of negligence. Even if they were fired on the spot by the palace master, they could not do anything. However, the opponent was too mysterious. No one knew when the flyer that spread the rumor appeared or where it came from. Everyone only remembered that a strong wind blew and the flyer appeared. They did not even see the shadow of the person. Trash. All a bunch of trash. Chang Shisheng was furious. Sir Palace Master, in fact, we don't need to worry. An elder said in a deep voice, no matter what the culprit is thinking, his goal is probably to lead us to the valley near Huining City. Why don't we beat them at their own game and follow the intentions of the mastermind? Let's go and investigate and see what exactly that mysterious force is up to. Moreover, the death of the Palace Master's son seems to be near Huining City. Is there any unknown secret in it? I think we can carefully explore it. What? The eyes of the Palace Master of the Hall of Souls, Chang Shisheng, revealed a trace of coldness. You're right. Immediately send someone to check that valley. I want to see who dares to cause such trouble. Chapter 1178. At this moment, near Huining City, Many people were attracted by the news that the Blood Soul Saint was still alive. Some of them believed the rumor, some of them wanted to investigate the force behind the rumor, and some of them wanted to watch a good show. Many people showed up. Although we came to Huining City, according to the information, the problem is that the vicinity of Huining City is very large. There are mountains that stretch for thousands of miles, dense forests, and countless valleys. How can we find the place where the Blood Soul Saint is sealed? Someone said in a deep voice. He felt confused and had no clue at all. This was also the thought of many people who arrived at Huining City. The information on the leaflet was too brief. There was no accurate address, but they did not know where to start. There's no other way. This is the place where the Blood Soul Saint is sealed. It's normal to be secretive. It won't be easy to find it. It seems that we'll need a long time to find it. Indeed, since we're all here, of course we're prepared for a long time. Take your time to find it. At least we have a rough location now. Some people thought it was natural. If the place where the Blood Soul Saint was sealed was something that could be found easily, the Blood Soul Saint would have been found long ago. Why would it wait until now? They were all mentally prepared. It would probably take several months. No, there's no need to look. I have a rough idea of where the Blood Soul Saint is, someone suddenly said, showing a mysterious look. Impossible. How did you find it? Yes. Have you been to this place before? So many people didn't find it. You're the only one who found it. Don't brag here. A group of people looked at this person with disdain. They felt that this guy was lying. I'm not bragging. Look here. The person pointed to a big tree in front of them. What? Everyone looked in the direction that the person pointed and saw a wooden sign hanging on the big tree. There was a road sign on it, pointing to the east. There were also a few big words written on it, Blood Soul Saint Valley. What the hell? Where did the place where the Blood Soul Saint was sealed have a road sign? This is 2F** King considerate. Are they afraid that we'll get lost and can't find where the Blood Soul Saint is sealed? Son of AB*TCH. I've never seen such an accurate road sign before. It's even guiding us to the place where Saint Blood Soul is sealed. Who did this? Who did this? That's too considerate. Everyone was dumbfounded. No matter how imaginative they were, they would never have thought that something like this would happen. The place where the Blood Soul Saint was sealed should be a top secret. Yet someone had actually made a road sign to guide them forward. The more they thought about it, the more they felt like they had fallen into some kind of scam. It was as if there was someone so bad that he was leading them into a trap. But if it was really a scam, it was too blatant and too stupid. Wasn't the swindler worried that his scam would be exposed by others? Because this method of deception was too idiotic, they were a little skeptical and felt that things were not so simple. Perhaps it was extraordinary. Since there are signs, let's go and take a look. Everyone looked at each other. Since they had come all the way here, they couldn't just go back now. At the very least, he had to take a look at what the so-called seal place looked like. Several hours later, they turned left and right in the vast and complicated forest. Under the guidance of accurate road signs, they finally arrived at the mysterious valley. At that moment, everyone was secretly glad that there were signs to guide them. Otherwise, they didn't know how long it would have taken them to find this extremely remote place. Clearly, there was also a huge rock in the valley. There are also a few words written on it. Sealed place of Saint Blood Soul. Holy *T. The person who sealed the place was afraid that others wouldn't know that the Blood Soul Saint was sealed here. He had even written a few words here to indicate that this was where the Blood Soul Saint was. Everyone who came here felt like they were idiots. To think that they would be tricked by such idiotic rumors. They had even traveled thousands of miles to come to this desolate place where even birds wouldn't shit. Everyone, since we're here, why don't we go and take a look? That's right. We can't just go back after coming here. Let's go and take a look. Just who is it that told such a big lie? Everyone was filled with anger. At the very least, they wanted to see just which bastard dared to trick them and set up such a scam, causing the entire Blood Soul continent to be thrown into chaos. Some of the Hall of Souls secret agents revealed a cold glint in their eyes. Once they catch the person, they will definitely teach that bastard a lesson and let him know the true meaning of the Hall of Souls Iron Fist. So. Without saying anything, they immediately entered the cave. They kept going deeper and deeper until they finally reached the deepest part of the cave. However, when they entered the deepest part of the cave, they were all dumbfounded. They discovered that there was a huge barrier formation at the deepest part of the cave. It was transparent and covered the surroundings like an egg. Barrier. This is a barrier formation. Heavens, there really is a sealing barrier around this place. This is no joke. But this might not be the place where the Blood Soul Saint was sealed. Even if it's not the place where the Blood Soul Saint was sealed, it is definitely an extremely important remnant. It's a barrier formation left behind from the ancient era. There might be some shocking treasures inside. Ancient remnant? I didn't expect us to discover a remnant. This is too shocking. Everyone was shocked. They had yet to recover from their anger when they were shocked by the scene in front of them. All of them were overjoyed and excited. It was as if a huge pie had fallen from the sky and smashed into their heads. In the Blood Soul continent, many ancient remnants had appeared over the years. These remnants always hid countless treasures. Many legendary figures had obtained the treasures left behind by the remnants and soared to the sky. Many of them even became hall masters of the Hall of Soul and became extremely powerful. Such stories had long spread throughout the Blood Soul continent and were known by countless people. They naturally knew what the appearance of a remnant represented. It represented wealth, authority, strength, and even lifespan. However, they had discovered a completely new remnant space that had yet to be excavated. If this wasn't a pie, then what was? Furthermore, this spirit formation space was related to the Blood Soul Saint. It was simply a massive treasure trove. Chapter 1179. Let's go in and see what treasures there are inside. That's right. Let's hurry up and break the barrier. Everyone's eyes were burning with passion. Some of the more impatient ones immediately took action, unleashing all of their powers and bombarding the barrier. Bang, bang, bang. Waves of terrifying power attacked the barrier. It was as if they were being bombarded by thousands of nuclear bombs. However, it was useless. The power was instantly absorbed when it hit the barrier. All it did was create a ripple. It was unable to move the barrier. The group of people attacked for a whole 2 hours. Their powers were all used up, but they were unable to cause any ripples in the barrier. It was like an unshakable mountain. What a powerful barrier. Its defense is too strong. As expected of the barrier that sealed the Blood Soul Saint, it's not something we can move. But the more it's like this, the more trustworthy it is. If there were no extraordinary treasures in this place, why would a barrier be built? Even if the Blood Soul Saint is not sealed inside, there are still incredible treasures inside. None of the people present were discouraged by the fact that they could not break the barrier. Instead, they were all extremely excited. This meant that the treasures inside the barrier were beyond imagination. They felt their blood boiling. They could almost imagine the countless treasures inside the barrier. These were all treasures that could make one rich overnight. Could it be that the only way to break the barrier is to throw soul stones in? Someone suddenly remembered the words written on the flyer. 100 soul stones were needed to break the seal and save the Blood Soul Saint. But this barrier can even block our powers. Can we throw soul stones in? Someone suspected that the barrier could block everything. Even if they wanted to throw soul stones in, they would not be able to. Why don't we give it a try? There's no other way. Everyone present nodded. Compared to the treasures in the spirit formation space, a mere 100 soul stones were nothing. It was just a drop in the ocean. If one didn't give up a small fortune, one wouldn't be able to obtain a big fortune. Someone immediately took out 100 soul stones and tossed them into the spirit formation space. With a whooshing sound, the space boundaries suddenly rippled like water, and the soul stones instantly entered it, disappearing without a trace. Holy sh*T, you can really throw it in? The group of people was dumbfounded. Originally, they just wanted to give it a try. They didn't expect that they would really succeed. With a whooshing sound, the soul stone disappeared into the spatial barrier. Even if they wanted to regret it, it was too late. Apart from soul stones, I wonder if other non-living things can be thrown in? Some people suspected that non-living things might be able to enter this spatial barrier. However, when someone threw a stone at it, It was as if it had hit a wall. It was instantly smashed into smithereens, unable to enter at all. This barrier is really godly. Only soul-devouring stones can enter, and nothing else can enter. Many people were extremely depressed. They felt that this barrier was clearly a gold-devouring monster. But how could they know that at this moment, the enchantment was already under Corinne's control? Whatever it wants to come in is all up to Corinne. At this moment, Xiaoping was cultivating in Huaining City's Soul Palace and monitoring all kinds of information about Soul Palace. Corinne, on the other hand, stayed in this place, responsible for collecting a large number of soul stones and dealing with the aftermath. But didn't the flyer say that throwing 100 soul stones in will save the Blood Soul Saint? Why is there no movement now? Some people were puzzled. Idiot, this is a barrier to seal a saint. How can a mere 100 soul stones be enough? That's right. Perhaps each of us needs to throw 100 soul stones in. Yes, let's all try and see if we can succeed. Everyone nodded. They all took out their soul stones and threw them into the barrier. Immediately, thousands of soul stones were thrown into the spatial barrier. The problem was that after an hour, the spatial barrier still didn't move. It was as quiet as before. Corinne, who was inside the space enchantment, simply laughed. He didn't expect that this group of soul race people would be stupid to this extent. They were casually deceived, and they even willingly threw in their soul stones. Wasn't this giving them money? He had been with his old master for countless years, but he had never seen such a thing. A large group of people lined up to give him soul stones without even blinking. What's going on? Isn't it enough? Is that flyer a scam? Someone couldn't help but be suspicious. 100 soul stones disappeared in the blink of an eye. This made his heart ache. Although he was willing to pay in order to obtain greater benefits, he didn't see any return. It was like throwing money into water. Whoosh! At this moment, a ripple appeared in the spatial barrier again. Immediately, a piece of white paper flew out and landed on the ground. Everyone was shocked. They immediately went forward to take a look and saw 2 words written on it. Not enough. Damn, there's really someone in the spatial barrier. It's the Blood Soul Saint. The Blood Soul Saint is definitely in there. The Blood Soul Saint is really not dead. That's great. This news isn't a scam. It's true. That's right. It's impossible to save the Blood Soul Saint with just a few thousand soul stones. We need to gather the elites of the entire continent. That's right. Inform the others immediately. Only by working together can we have a chance to save the Blood Soul Saint. Once the Blood Soul Saint revives again, the extraterrestrial demons won't be able to continue being arrogant. Everyone present was excited. They believed that this was definitely the message from the Blood Soul Saint. Although the Blood Soul Saint was powerful, he was already sealed. This was the only way to inform the others for help. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Immediately, a group of people left quickly. They planned to return to Huaining City and inform the families behind them to come. After all, whoever rescued the Blood Soul Saint first would be the greatest contributor and would have the upper hand. With the Blood Soul Saint's protection in the future, wouldn't their families be able to do whatever they wanted in the Blood Soul continent? They might even be able to occupy a place in the universe and become a family with tens of thousands of years of history. Many secret agents of the Soul race also left without stopping. They quickly informed the big shots of the Soul Palace headquarters. They definitely wouldn't allow other families to get hold of such shocking news first. Chapter 1180. As these people returned to Huaining City, they used the teleportation formation to travel to the major cities of the Blood Soul continent. The news that the Blood Soul Saint was really sealed in the valley spread like wildfire, causing a huge sensation. The rumor is true. The Blood Soul Saint is really sealed in the valley. Someone has already gone there to investigate and found a mysterious barrier that even Divinity Realm cultivators can't break. Someone immediately announced that someone had already gone to the valley to investigate and found a huge space barrier there. It was not a fake rumor. Really? Could this be another rumor? That's right. This is the place where the Blood Soul Saint was sealed. It's not something that can be found easily. Spreading rumors is a serious crime. Don't spread nonsense. Even though someone was spreading the rumor, Many people were skeptical and felt that it was unrealistic. If it was so easy to find the Blood Soul Saint, there wouldn't have been no news of him for tens of thousands of years. It's true. There's no benefit in lying to you. If you don't believe me, you can go to the valley and check it out. It's there anyway, and he can't escape. The person swore that he was not lying. Even the elders and the hall master of the Soul Hall have been mobilized. They've started to seal the valley. If we're late, we won't have a chance to get close anymore. He patted his chest. It's true. I have insider information. The son of my cousin's friend went there and found a huge mysterious barrier. It's an ancient ruin that no one has ever discovered. Someone immediately agreed. He also admitted that the news could not be hidden anymore. It was too big and no one could keep it to themselves. It was enough to shake the entire Blood Soul continent. Another day passed, and news came out one after another. Some people saw that the 10 most powerful families of the Blood Soul continent had turned out in full strength. Many elders and elites of the families had arrived at Whining City from all directions of the Blood Soul continent. Even their ancestors who had disappeared for many years and the old farts came out of their ancestral lands to explore the mysterious valley. It was said that these old farts wanted to find a way to prolong their lives. Apart from these aristocratic families, there were also many experts among the common folk who did not want to be outdone. They were also extremely curious about the Blood Soul Saint, so they all formed groups and headed there. Of course, the one with the most people and the strongest strength was still Soul Palace. Countless elders, great elders, and even the Soul Palace master couldn't sit still anymore. They left the Soul Palace headquarters and arrived at Huaining City. They called themselves the descendants of the Blood Soul Saint, the inheritors. If they didn't do anything about this, how would they dare to call themselves orthodox in the future? In fact, if the Blood Soul Saint really managed to escape just like that, what would happen to the Palace of Soul Elders? Each and every one of them would probably be punished by the Blood Soul Saint and die without a grave. Thus, regardless of whether that spirit formation space was the place where the Blood Soul Saint was sealed or not, they would still head there to check it out and get a share of the spoils. They would definitely not allow others to monopolize the spoils. For a time, Whining City almost became the center of the Blood Soul mainland. Countless people from all over the world gathered in this place. It could be said that a random rock could hit a divine tier cultivator. Based on the countless years of history of the Blood Soul mainland and the talent of the soul race, there were simply too many divine tier cultivators to count. It had reached a shocking level. Some of the local gangsters and dark forces that used to be tyrannical in Huaining City all shrank back and did not dare show their faces. They were afraid that they would be slapped to death by some powerful figure. If that happened, they would die a wrongful death. Therefore, Huaining City security had never been better. Petty theft had all disappeared. No one dared to show their faces, and all left Huaining City. This is too shocking. The masters of the top 10 super families of the Blood Soul mainland and many old ancestors have all come. This is an unprecedented grand occasion. It's hard to see in a lifetime. This is nothing. Previously, Soul Palace's Palace Master Chong, Shisheng, and many grand elders appeared here. That kind of lineup is something I will never forget for the rest of my life. These are all top-notch experts. Isn't that right? Now, in any tea house or restaurant in Huaining City, there are probably people with big backgrounds and big forces. Elites are gathered here. The only thing that can make so many big shots gather here is the final battle with the extraterrestrial fiends. It seems that this news is 99% true. Otherwise, how could it attract so many big shots? Countless civilians in Huaining City were discussing and sighing. They had never seen so many big shots in their lives, but now they saw all of them at once. If this matter was spread out, they could brag about it for the rest of their lives. I regret it. I thought it was just a rumor, a big joke. Whoever believed it was an idiot. I didn't expect it to be me. If I want to check it out earlier, I might have been the one to save the Blood Soul Saint. Someone beat his chest and stamped his feet in regret. Just you? Someone next to him said disdainfully, "You didn't believe it at first. Even if you really believed it, you wouldn't be able to save the Blood Soul Saint by going to that barrier space." Let's not talk about anything else. Do you have 100 soul stones? That person's face turned green. He didn't even have one, let alone 100 soul stones. After all, soul stones were precious resources in the Blood Soul continent. They were even more valuable than gold. Those who could take out 100 soul stones were basically experts, or they came from a big family. Indeed, even if we believed it, we couldn't do anything about it. But it doesn't matter. As long as the Blood Soul Saint is saved, our Blood Soul continent will be rich. That's right. Let's see if the extraterrestrial fiends dare to be arrogant anymore. They won't dare to come here anymore. Once the Blood Soul Saint appears again, we'll have a good life. Many civilians were looking forward to it. At this moment, many elders and clan heads of the various clans in the Blood Soul continent, as well as a large number of elite experts of the Hall of Souls, were gathered in the valley. The area within a radius of a few thousand kilometers had been classified as a forbidden ground and was heavily guarded. It could be said that this place was listed as an absolute forbidden area. Even the main hall of the Blood Soul continent was not as heavily guarded as this place. Almost all the elite forces of the continent had swarmed out. Chapter 1181. Huaining City at a street corner. The Seven Kills gang and the others also saw this grand occasion, but they were now very depressed. After waiting for more than a month, that bastard Xia Ping still did not come out of Soul Hall. They still could not find a chance to attack. Damn it, why is that guy still in Soul Hall? It's been more than a month, and he hasn't taken a step out. Even an otaku wouldn't be like this. Doesn't he need to come out and take a breather? Feng Chun felt very depressed. Even as a very patient assassin, he was also very anxious about this situation. This was because the premise of patience was that they had absolute confidence that the other party would definitely appear here and that they would definitely be able to kill the target. However, facing a monster like Xia Ping who did not play by the rules, they had no confidence at all. Most importantly, their lives were still in the hands of the Wild Slaughter Saint, and they were in danger. If they did not kill Xia Ping, they would be dead for sure, and no one would be able to save them. If this kid suddenly decided to leave the Blood Soul continent, they would be doomed. Because of this situation, they were indifferent even when they heard that the Blood Soul Saint's seal had appeared. No matter how good the treasure was, it was not as important as their lives. Therefore, they were very anxious about this situation. The longer it took, the more disadvantageous it would be for them, and the higher the possibility of Xia Ping leaving Blood Soul continent. Don't take a breather. Didn't you see that he brought a peerless beauty with him when he entered Soul Hall in Huaining City? This kid is probably having fun every night in Soul Hall. He's basically a groom every day. Moreover, I also found out that this kid is actually pretending to be the Soul Hall master of Huaining City. This identity has monstrous power in Huaining City. He can basically do whatever he wants. I don't know how he got this kind of power. He even thought of pretending to be the Soul Hall master. Isn't he afraid that his identity will be exposed and he will die without a burial place? Damn, monstrous power? Wouldn't that mean that he could get any woman he wanted? This is simply too awesome. That's not all. It said that Huaining City's Soul Palace Master Zhuahao himself has dozens of beautiful concubines. Now that bastard is pretending to be Zhuahao. He probably wants to enjoy it. I don't know how many times he has slept with Zhuahao's concubines this month. Anyway, those concubines probably won't recognize him. What a beast! Not only did you kill him, you even made him a cuckold. You even slept with his wife and concubines. Are you still human? Although we are assassins and have no right to say such things, I still despise this kind of bitch who cheats on others. Son of a bitch, is this still a trial? He's simply here to act like a tyrant. So what if he's a disciple of a sage? The disciples of the large sects are all like this. Not to mention this kid who achieved success at a young age and became a disciple of a saint. This is even more ridiculous. Even having a harem of 3,000 is nothing to him. I guess he's pretending to be Zhuahao not only to obtain the Soul Stone, but also to take the opportunity to enjoy himself. After all, sometimes the taste of a man is much better than that of a little girl. The Seven Kill gang and the others were all envious, jealous, and hateful. They were so jealous that their intestines turned green. When they thought of the bastard Xia Ping spending his time in Soul Palace, playing the flute every night and enjoying the pleasures of having multiple women, they were extremely displeased. Why did they have to eat and sleep in the open while Xiaoping enjoyed a luxurious life? It was too unfair. We can't continue waiting like this. We have to take the initiative to attack. Otherwise, we don't know how long we'll have to wait, Kong Nuo said in a deep voice. Take the initiative? How can we take the initiative? That's the Soul Palace with many restrictions. If we go in, we'll definitely be beaten to death. Even if you want to die, don't do this. That's right. Let's just wait here and not do anything unnecessary. Otherwise, we'll alert the enemy and he'll immediately escape from the Blood Soul continent. We'll be dead. The others shook their heads and felt that it was better not to act rashly. Sometimes, being too impulsive was the beginning of destruction. Although they were impatient, they were not stupid. No. We don't need to go in. Kong Nuo revealed a sinister smile. I found out earlier that the moment that kid entered, he seemed to have a conflict with the Soul Palace Master's son. Changqi, he beat Changqi up and became a mortal enemy. The enmity between the two is irreconcilable and cannot be washed away. Why don't we borrow Changqi's strength to force that kid out of the Soul Palace? His eyes flickered with a cold glint. What do you mean? The other 7 kill gang looked at Kong. It's simple. Report him. Kong Nuo smiled. We can send someone to Changqi's residence and tell him that Zhua Hao is actually an extraterrestrial demon in disguise. I'm sure Changqi will take action. When the time comes, we can add fuel to the fire and secretly frame him. Then, it'll be hard for that kid not to escape from the Soul Palace. He revealed his plan. Not bad. Not a bad plan. Killing with a borrowed knife. This is the best plan. Let's do it. I don't want to wait any longer. That's right. Since he doesn't want to come out, we'll force him out. Let's see if he still wants to seduce women. The 7 kill gang and the others were filled with killing intent as they immediately came up with a plan. At this time, in a quiet room in the Soul Palace of Huining City, Xiaoping was sitting cross-legged on a praying mat, his eyes closed as he channeled his spiritual energy. Vaguely, the air around him began to twist and distort, creating a strange phenomenon. It was as if a ball of fire had risen up and transformed into a divine bird. The entire quiet room was filled with scorching heat. It was like a furnace. Even the air was burning. Dong! Suddenly, he opened his eyes and shot out 2 beams of golden light that seemed to pierce through the air. The flames in the quiet room seemed to have a mind of their own and burrowed into Xiaoping's pores. In a few breaths, the flames in the quiet room disappeared completely. His power grew even greater, like a mountain standing in the middle of the room. Because of the large number of soul stones he had devoured, his consciousness had also become unbelievably strong. In the depths of the void, there seemed to be sabers, swords, bells, hammers, halberds, flutes, and other weapons appearing. These were illusions created when one's consciousness reached a certain level. Peak of the middle stage of the fulfillment realm. After a month of cultivation, Xiaoping had continuously devoured medicinal pills and soul stones. He had raised his cultivation base to the peak of the middle stage of the fulfillment realm. His entire purple mansion was filled with dense magic power. He was just a step away from the mastery stage of the fulfillment realm. He was getting closer and closer to the divine power realm. This kind of cultivation speed was so fast that it scared people to death. If he had stayed on the Cloud Continent, it would have taken him at least a few decades to reach such a realm. Chapter 1182. Beep. At that moment, the system's voice rang out. Warning host, the enemy's killing intent has reached its peak. Please be careful. It's the 7 kill gang. They still want to cause trouble. Xiaoping sensed the system's image and learned of the 7 kill gang's plan. They wanted to join forces with Changqi to retaliate against him and report him as an extraterrestrial demon. Originally, he did not want to bother with the 7 kill gang for the time being. However, their actions were seriously hindering his plan. Looks like I have to get rid of this group of people as soon as possible. I can't let them continue to be a hindrance here. Xiaoping's eyes flickered. After a month of fermenting, countless experts had been attracted to the valley. Even many experts from Soul Palace's main palace had swarmed out. Soul Palace's main palace was currently at its most vulnerable state. It was also the best time for him to sneak into Soul Palace's main palace. Therefore, he absolutely could not allow the 7-kill gang to cause trouble at this time. Beep! At that moment, his communication device rang. Immediately, Corinne's virtual projection appeared in front of Xiaoping. Xiaoping, the plan is progressing smoothly. That group of people has been completely attracted to the valley. Corinne said, "You can carry out the next step of the plan." Very good. Xiaoping nodded. However, there's a problem now. I just received news that a group of killers called the 7-Kill Gang wants to cause trouble for me. They also want to report me as an extraterrestrial demon. I have to think of a way to get rid of them. There's such a thing. What do you want to do? Just say it. Corinne's killing intent soared. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. Actually, we don't need to do anything. We could just borrow a knife to kill them. Borrow a knife to kill them? Corinne asked curiously. Xiaoping smiled. Did you forget? You are now the Blood Soul Saint, the master of this continent. Isn't it simple to use your identity to command that group of Soul Palace experts to kill the 7-Kill Gang? Corinne suddenly realized. He had almost forgotten that he was the Blood Soul Saint sealed in the depths of the valley. Wouldn't he be able to mobilize that group of Soul Palace experts with his swindling ability? Moreover, once the 7-Kill Gang's identity as an extraterrestrial demon was leaked, they would probably die even more miserably than Xiaoping. They still wanted to report him? Didn't they see who was the real snitch expert? Xiaoping despised the 7-Kills Gang. I'll send you the appearance of the 7-Kills Gang and the others, as well as their hiding spots and other information. Xiaoping immediately said. According to the image provided by the system, he manually drew the appearance of the 7-Kills Gang and others, and then transmitted it to Corinne. At this moment in the valley, bang, bang, bang. At once, countless elites joined forces to attack the entire barrier. The power of divine tier erupted without restraint, and it was as if thousands of nuclear bombs were detonating at the same time. However, it was completely useless. They were all absorbed by this spatial formation, and it was completely unharmed. As expected, there's no way to break it. It's just too sturdy. Even with so many of us divine tier cultivators working together, we can't do anything about it. If I'm not wrong, this is a spatial formation that has been passed down since ancient times. It forms its own space and forms a spatial barrier. Ordinary power cannot break it. As expected of the place where Saint Bloodsoul was sealed, it's not a place that ordinary people can break through. Looks like we can only throw the soul stones in and let Saint Bloodsoul obtain the power to break out. Seeing this, many Soul Palace elites were not dejected at all. Instead, they were excited. The more power they could resist, the more real this matter was. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At once, many people chose to take action, throwing the soul stones they had on them into the barrier one by one. For experts like them, a mere 100 soul stones were child's play. It was not even a drop in the ocean. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Immediately, the entire spatial barrier was filled with a large number of soul stones, pouring in as if they were free. The number of soul stones here was even more than this small soul stone mine. Corinne was dumbfounded. There were 200,000 to 300,000 soul stones here, and the entire space was filled with dense soul energy that was almost tangible. Good people, you're all good people. Thank you so much. Corinne happily stored all the soul stones into his spatial ring. Fortunately, he had plundered the spatial rings from the Lingyun sect, 5 Elements sect, and other sects' disciples. There were more than 100 of them, and the space was extremely large. Otherwise, it would have been rather difficult to take these soul stones away. Xiaoping also saw this scene through the virtual projection and was overjoyed. He did not expect this group of people to act as couriers and actually deliver the soul stones here. It was really hard on them. Not bad. Corinne immediately threw a piece of paper outside the barrier. When the people outside saw the piece of paper appear out of nowhere, it immediately caused a huge commotion. Countless experts stared at the piece of paper. Oh my God, Saint Bloodsoul is really inside the barrier. Looks like we made the right decision. I did not expect Saint Bloodsoul to really be sealed in this place. We made the right choice this time. Saint Bloodsoul is praising us. I'm too excited. Everyone was extremely excited. Some old men were even crying. To them, Saint Bloodsoul was like a god. To be able to see such an existence was an honor that they might not have in their entire lives. Some old men who were about to reach the end of their lifespans felt that their bodies were filled with strength. It was as if their vitality had recovered a little. Chang Shishing's eyes flickered, but he was a little suspicious. Why would a saint use a piece of paper to communicate? He felt that something was wrong, but he could not tell what it was. However, he was not worried because the soul stones were just thrown into the barrier. As long as the barrier was broken, if the other party was not Saint Bloodsoul, the soul stones would eventually return to their hands. The soul stones could not grow legs and could not run away. Regardless of whether this was a scam or the truth, they were sure to win. They were in an invincible position. I need 3 days to break the seal. Another piece of paper flew out lightly. This was also the time Corinne was buying for Xiaoping. As long as they could obtain the inheritance from Soul Hall, they would be able to escape after 3 days. That's great. I only need 3 days. 3 more days, and we will be able to see the saint? What an honor. This is the biggest thing in the history of our Blood Soul mainland. Chapter 1183. But soon, another note was thrown out which read, "But this sage has predicted that some extraterrestrial demons may come to stop this sage from breaking the seal. These enemies need to be dealt with by you." What? Someone dares to stop old ancestor from breaking the seal? They're simply courting death. What kind of extraterrestrial demons are so arrogant? This old man will go and kill them now. An old man at the peak of divine power realm flew into a rage. He had a blood feud with extraterrestrial demons. Many of his relatives and friends had died in the battle with extraterrestrial demons. So, when he heard that extraterrestrial demons had appeared, he could not control the anger in his heart. "That's right, Lord, which extraterrestrial demons are so arrogant? Please tell us. We will immediately go and deal with those guys." "That's right. Let's go and kill them all." Everyone was filled with righteous indignation, and their emotions surged as they clamored to go and kill those arrogant extraterrestrial demons. Those extraterrestrial demons are hiding in Huining City, waiting for an opportunity to move. There are 7 of them. These are their portraits and possible hiding places. You go and kill them quickly. Immediately, Xiaoping ordered Corinne to throw out the portraits of the 7 murders gang, as well as a series of information about their hiding places. Amazing, worthy of being the old ancestor. Although he is sealed in the valley, he still has the power to interfere thousands of miles away. Not only can he accurately find the specific location of the extraterrestrial demons, but even the portraits have appeared. The group of people prostrated themselves on the ground in admiration, feeling deep veneration. He was worthy of being the old ancestor who created the Blood Soul continent, a godlike existence. Even if his power was sealed for who knows how much, he still had such magical power. It was too terrifying. Oh, one of them seems to be called Master Mateto. This person is extremely vicious and has committed many evil deeds. He kills people like flies. His martial arts is very high. Everyone must be careful when dealing with him. It is best not to talk nonsense with them and kill them on the spot. Don't give them a chance to resist. Otherwise, they will definitely escape. A note once again flew out, warning them in detail. Master Mateto. Hearing this, Soul Hall Master Chang Shishing's eyes turned red. He was like a fighting bull, his nose fuming, and his whole body emitting a terrifying murderous aura. Hall Master Chang, what's wrong? Why are you so angry when you see the name Master Mateto? Someone immediately noticed Chang Shishing's abnormality and couldn't help but ask. Chang Shishing gnashed his teeth and told him about how his son had been killed by the extraterritorial fiend. Wu Taidu killed my son, Chang Feng, some time ago. I have a blood feud with him. I didn't expect him to be so audacious as to hide in Huining City and act like a tyrant under my nose. He did not expect to hear the name of the murderer here. For a moment, he was shocked. Chang Shishing had not expected the sealed blood soul saint to be so powerful. He had even managed to find his enemy. What an arrogant fiend demon from the outer realm. You're truly vicious and vicious to even dare to kill the son of the Hall Master. Everyone has the right to punish such an evil person. Fortunately, the ancestor was perceptive enough to predict the enemy's movements and find the tracks of that xeno-race fiend. Otherwise, wouldn't he be able to get away scot-free and flee without a trace? Stop talking nonsense. Let's immediately go and kill all of those xeno-race fiends. Not a single one will be spared. Everyone yelled with murderous intent. Even the Soul Hall Master Chang Shishing's son had died in the hands of those xeno-race fiends. One could imagine how dangerous those xeno-race fiends were. Even if it wasn't to protect the Blood Soul Saint, the danger of those xeno-race fiends alone was enough for them to mobilize all of them to kill all of them. Ancestor, I'll go and kill those enemies right now. How could the Soul Hall Master Chang Shishing sit still? He immediately mobilized his troops and returned to Huaining City. He could not wait to kill the enemy who had killed his son. The other old men at the peak of Transcendent Realm heard this and set off one by one. They would not pass up the task of killing the Blood Soul Saint's enemies. At that moment, in an ordinary residence in Huaining City, which was also the temporary base camp of the Seven Kills gang, the owner of the residence had already been killed by them. They destroyed the corpse and even disguised themselves as the owner of the residence. The people around did not notice anything and thought that it was the same as usual. Whoosh! Immediately, a gust of wind flashed by. Kong Nua's figure appeared before everyone. He had gone to talk to Chang Chi this time, wanting to use him to expose Xia Ping's identity. How'd it go? Did you get in touch with the Soul Hall Master's son, Chang Chi? Fong Chen immediately asked. The others also looked at Kong Nua. Fortunately, I did. Kong Nua smiled faintly. I've already contacted Chang Chi. He's very interested in this information, but he's still a little doubtful of my words. He said that he needs us to bring out evidence. Evidence? Fong Chen immediately frowned. How can we bring out any evidence? The others nodded. If they had evidence, they would have exposed that kid's true identity long ago and killed Xia Ping under the combined attacks of many soul race experts. No. That kid doesn't want ordinary evidence. He wants to prove his loyalty. Kong Nua narrowed his eyes. That kid already hates Xia Ping's disguise as Zhua Hao to the bone and wants to get rid of him as soon as possible. Seeing us appear, he isn't surprised, but happy instead. Though he doesn't believe us, he says that he can help us enter Huaining City's Soul Hall. He can even help us and create an opportunity to assassinate Xia Ping. He looked at everyone. So that's how it is. That kid wants to borrow a knife to kill someone. That's right. Though he's the Soul Hall Master's son, killing a Soul Hall Submaster is still very difficult. He can't do it himself. He can only borrow someone else's hand. That's great. That kid deserves it. There are enemies everywhere. Even the natives of this place are helping us. As long as we can sneak into Soul Hall, that kid won't be able to live even if he has 9 lives. Who told him to be so arrogant and openly offend the Soul Hall Master's son? Isn't he just seeking his own death? The Seven Kills gang was proud. They didn't expect this turn of events. With Chang Chi's help, they could easily sneak into Huaining City's Soul Hall. All right, there's no time to lose. Chang Chi has already arranged an identity for us to sneak into Huaining City's Soul Hall. Let's go. Kong Nua was high-spirited. He could almost see himself completing his mission. Dong! As soon as he finished speaking, the house's door was blasted open by a powerful force. Immediately, a middle-aged man flew in from afar and arrived at the house. His powerful aura enveloped the area, causing the surrounding 10 miles to tremble. Who is Master Matedo? Come and die immediately, the middle-aged man roared. His face was ferocious as he emitted a condensed killing intent.